This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sob like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Last night, Obi Toppin won the slam dunk contest. The best thing that happened to the New York Knicks this season. I don't know if we're going to get any more happy notifications from the New York Knicks, but you know what? We're going to break it down and talk about it. We're going to jump right in. We got Uncle Fulio, Andy. We got Big Bubba, Ron from Still Knicks fan. We got the Queen's Court here. So we're just going to go ahead and do it up, man. Uncle Fulio, what's poppin' with you, bro? How you feeling?
Welcome back, Sam. Welcome back. Much needed break for us and for the team during this All-Star break. Obviously, losing those games going into the All-Star break hurts, but I think this is a good opportunity for the team to kind of take a pause, a mental pause, physical pause, and try to get themselves back on track as we wind down the season. So it's exciting.
Yeah, they need some kind of break. We'll see if they can reboot at least a little bit. And play some good basketball. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not even, the wins and losses, whatever. I just want to see them play good basketball because as far as I'm concerned, they're out of it. And I don't see them getting back into it. They're out of it. I just want to see them play good basketball. That's it. You know what I mean? But Obi Toppin wins the dunk champion, this AT&T Slam Dunk Championship. Probably should be his second year in a row winning it. But, he had some creative dunks last night. Andy, any thoughts on Obi? What's going on with you, man? Any thoughts on Obi winning the Slam Dunk Championship?
Yo, what up, Sam? Welcome back. Welcome, back to the panel with all you guys. Listen, I didn't watch the Slam Dunk contest. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not watching the All-Star Weekend. Last 20, 25 years. I just hate basketball where there's no defense, man. So I'm not watching that joint. I watched the replays, the highlights. I'm happy that Obi won, though. Like you said, it's probably might be the only trophy that the Knicks are gonna have this season. So at least it's that shining spot. I don't think it's gonna get him minutes in Thibs' rotation, but man, at least he's gonna be happy for one thing.
Yeah, I dig it. Steph, what do you think about the slam dunk contest?
It was lame, in my opinion. It just wasn't a good slam dunk contest at all. They need to figure out something to do with all of these missed dunks, and you could keep going over and over again. I think that takes the excitement out of it as well. And I think, Obi's dunks was good. A lot of them didn't really clear the, didn't clear the hoop and, didn't slam as hard as I'm sure he wanted them to. But he was the best of the worst. And I'm not saying his dunks weren't good. They were good. But the competition wasn't there.
Yeah, I thought the degree of difficulty on his dunks were high.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I like the fact that he didn't use a bunch of props. You know what I mean? He just relied on his dunking ability, instead of having, wearing Thibs or having an NFT on his neck or, all that kind of stuff. He just dunked. You know what I mean? And the degree of difficulty of his dunks were high, Like you said, though, he didn't dunk it hard, but he tried some new stuff. So I thought that was impressive. Ron, what you think about it?
Yeah, I agree, man. This dunk competition is not something I would say I'm going to set my Saturday night around. I had nothing else going on, so hey, why not check it out? You know what I mean? Right. And I want to give another quick shout out to my man John. He understands that my I don't have cable anymore, so my package don't include TNT, so he let me use his. So I was able to watch it. You know what I mean? But Yeah, no, I will say you're right. I agree with you guys. As far as Obi's creativity, I thought he was really creative. The dunks, he didn't get them off the way he would have liked to. Outside of that, this was a real letdown. And the Jalen Green part of it was really surprising.
Right. It was definite. Here's the thing. I think the letdown has to do with the rules, though. That's what I think. Because I thought Jalen Green was trying something creative. Right, and he wasn't successful. But I think if you change the rules, the way that the players approach their dunks and when they're gonna dunk, and when they're gonna do a specific dunk, changes. If they know they have an unlimited number of times to miss, then they're gonna try that specific dunk a bunch of times. But if they know I get one dunk, I better make it count, they're gonna use something that they know they can complete. Right, and it's not going to be, them doing a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're going to try. They're going to say, okay, I have this dunk. I know I can make this dunk. This is what I'm going to use. And then when you get to the championship, you might try something like super creative. You know what I mean? Or maybe they give you 3 tries, right? Or maybe you get 3 tries. That's it. You get 3 tries to get your dunk off, or something like that. But not an unlimited number of dunks.
Well, you know what? John has said this for a long time, and I'm just bringing it back up now. He thinks that they should bring in the professional dunkers, man. Those guys who we see the highlights of. He thinks they should bring those guys in. I
agree. I think they should. I think they should bring in outside guys, and you sprinkle in 1 or 2 NBA players with the outside guys. You know what I'm saying? Guys that you think can compete with them, and then let it go. You know what I mean? Isaiah, what's going on, man?
Yes, first things first. Welcome back, Mr. Russell. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I never went anywhere. I was always right there. I just get on for a specific reason. I was there. I was there.
No, I ain't gonna put your business. I know you needed some money. I gave you some money.
There.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I didn't mean to say all that. I'm sorry.
Right.
No, I know, man, but it's good to see you, man, doing the show again. Shout out to Josh, Andy, Ron, Queen, Steph, the dunk contest, man, I'll be honest with you, I think it's time that they move the 3-point contest at the end and put the dunking in the middle. I think it's that time because it's just so after Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, it just went down. It just went down. And it just, it like Steph, you said it right the first time. Obi was the best of the worst. Even though, granted, Obi did do new things that we haven't seen before, it just, I think it was just the power. He didn't bring the power. If he would have had the power, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best of the worst, but I think his dunks were.
No, they were original.
I think they were good dunks. They just. The excitement wasn't there, and obviously he didn't bring it down hard, but I thought they were good dunks.
So did you know, and this is a crazy stat, I can't believe this one, that it was so bad. One of the stat Twitter accounts said that the combined, they shot 20%, all 4 of them.
If you're throwing the ball off the side of the backboard, jumping up, putting it between your legs, and trying to spin backwards, there's a good chance you're going to miss.
Yeah, but
it's not like they're shooting mid-range jump shots.
Yeah, no, but the dunk contest was lackluster, and it just at least Obi won. At least we could get we could put the banner up there.
Right. At least you won. What did you guys think about the way that they did the skills challenge? I don't know if you watched it at all. I actually enjoyed it that way. I thought it was pretty good the way they did the skills challenge.
Creative. I think they definitely with the Giannis brothers, the Antetokounmpo brothers. I thought that was pretty cool to get those guys in there in the hometown. Cavs. I like the format that they did. I had no problem with it. I thought it was actually very entertaining, at least more entertaining than a dunk contest.
Yeah, I actually thought it was set up for the Cavs to win. When you look at the personnel that was out there on the floor, when you talk about a skills challenge, you know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. It just felt like, first of all, they were the only team with a point guard on the floor.
Yeah, that was the big red flag.
Right? You know what I mean? You talk about a skills challenge, right? Passing, shooting, and you're the only team with a point guard on the floor. When you look at the Antetokounmpo brothers, I mean, did you really expect them to win the shooting portion of it?
No.
I mean, come
First
on,
of all,
man.
Slim, you know what the worst part
or
about
even the passing portion of it?
Slim, you know what the worst part about it was? This is the worst part. It made me laugh a little bit when Darius Garland went up against one of the Antetokounmpo brothers for the make it shot. Man, my man bricked it, and then Darius Garland just like shot it the first time and made it. I said.
The only thing I didn't like about that competition was in the second portion of it when they had to go through the whatever, the passing, the shooting, dunking, and all of that. I didn't like the fact that, like, if you missed the first shot, all you had to do was really throw up the next two. You didn't have to make them.
Chuck them. Yeah.
Right. I didn't like that. I thought making it should have been added into something there. You know what I mean? Or you get a deduction if you don't make one of them or something. I thought it should have been added in. But
they didn't take advantage of that, Sim. They were still trying to shoot it.
They were still trying to shoot it. Right? They could have just picked them up and chucked them, and then kept going. Right? They didn't take advantage at all. So I thought that was a little bit of a loophole that maybe they should, look at tweaking next year. But I did like the format of it.
I didn't like the end where all you had to do was do a half court shot.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, just a half court shot. Yeah, that was kind of anticlimactic, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're always looking to reinvent the All-Star game. Every year is new. I didn't get to see the young guys play, so I don't even know what that was or what the rules were for that game.
That was really good, though.
Was it?
I thought that was good. Yeah.
It was basically a tournament where there were four teams. And the two teams, whoever got to 50 won, and then those two teams played in the championship game. Whoever scored 25 points first win. I really liked that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and those were close games, right, Steph? I didn't watch it, but I saw the last bucket, so they were close games. I think the last bucket was on a free throw even. So
okay. Yeah. Were you guys upset that none of the Knicks were included in the Rising Stars?
I think Grimes could have been there.
Yeah,
at least him. No, quickly. Stop it, Josh. Just stop
quickly. Well, no. So quickly was involved in. He was all rookie last year, right? I mean, as a sophomore, but I know he's a sophomore now. So I wanted to see Quickly in there. I know you don't like Quickly, Andy, but I'm just saying.
Josh, listen. Frank
no. He's not playing well.
Frank Ntilikina was playing in the rookie sophomore game. Let's not put Quickly in the same sentence, man, with Frank.
I mean, this is what I will say about Quickly. His on and off numbers are good. The Knicks play better when he's on the floor, despite the fact that he's shooting well. But I don't think he's not shooting well, I should say. But I don't think they're digging that deep when they're picking the teams. They're not looking at on-off numbers.
Yeah, but Steph, at least Grimes,
Yeah. Grimes should have been in the 3-point competition too. He should have been in that 3-point competition. I would love to see him in there.
Yeah,
even Obi could have made an argument for.
Right. I mean, maybe in a couple of years for Grimes in that 3-point competition, I think he probably, need some time. The way it looks, the way that it seems that they do it, need some time to prove that you're going to be a consistent 3-point sharp shooter. You know what I'm saying? But either way, Obi Toppin, he wins the slam dunk contest. At least the Knicks can go away with that. Now, the Knicks have 5 slam dunk contest champions throughout the years, right? Kenny Skywalker, he won 1. Nate won 3, and then now Obi Toppin won 1. So they got, excuse me. So they got 5 in their career.
I think Porzingis won an event, right? He win?
He won at skills challenge.
He won a skills challenge. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if the Knicks go down as one of the best teams ever to be in the dunk competition, to have representatives?
I wouldn't care.
Oh, man.
I wouldn't care about that. I don't want them to go down as that. I want them to go down as winning the championship. I don't care about the slam dunk contest. We need you guys to win the championship someday. I don't know when that day is, but one of these days, you know what I mean? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you already know Obi Toppin wins the slam dunk contest. Most people probably don't care that he won the slam dunk contest, but I'm sure he cares about it. At least he got one. Let's move on from there. Let's talk about Tom Thibodeau. and whether or not he will adjust. You know, we were just talking about it before we got on live, whether or not he will adjust to the season and the way that things are going with this season. Here's what Tom Thibodeau had to say when asked about making changes, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let's take a listen.
Everything's on the table now. It has to be. So, and it's got to be merit-based. Like, I'm not going to just give minutes just to give minutes. So that's not happening. You earn what you get.
Everything's on the table now. What do you mean?
Well, you'd look at everything. You know, what are you going to do? Like, how are we going to manage this? So, it has to be merit-based. You know, like if a guy is playing good, he plays. You know, and if the team is functioning well when he's on the floor, he should play. That's the most important thing. The team has to come first for everyone. This can't be about what's best for any one individual. It's what's best for the group. That's the way it has to be. And we all have to do, you know, we got a chance to reset here. We all have to take a hard look at what's going on, and we got to figure out how we can do it better.
All right. Any thoughts about those comments there? He says, everything is on the table. Andy, do you believe him?
Yo, Sim, when he said that, I was thinking like, man, D-Rose has to be ready for starting minutes, man, because he's gonna be the last push for the Knicks this season. D-Rose gonna get like 38 minutes a game, and when he breaks down, then it's gonna be the young guys.
Do you believe him though, that everything is on the table? He's gonna look at everything.
Till D-Rose gets out with an injury, I don't believe him. I think he's like, okay, I'm getting D-Rose back. This is the last push. And, you know, after that goes down, then everything is on the table. But before that, you know, he didn't, you know, get that option out of the way. So I'm thinking, you know, it's still Thibs fighting for the playoffs, play-ins at least.
Okay. Steph, what do you think?
I mean, I wanted to believe him until he said you have to earn what you get, and it's how the team plays with that guy on the floor. So it's not even about that guy individually, but how the team plays when when they are on the floor. So I don't really see much changing. You know, with Thibs, he's a trust guy, and if he doesn't trust you, you're not going to play that much, or if you do play, you're not going to get a long leash. If he trusts you, like Burke has not been playing well. I mean, you can argue that Reddish could give us more than Burke, but he trusts Burke. So that's why Burke is getting all of these minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see if Burke's minutes go down.
Yeah. Ron, if let's say Thibs is really considering making some changes, he throws everything on the table and says, okay, let's make a few changes. What changes do you think he would make? Or do you think he should make?
Well, first off, let me just say it's pretty funny. James Earl in the chat said his coaching should be merit-based. That I could agree with that.
Well, I think everyone's coaching.
Hey, listen.
But I'll say this. I think his job is the job that he got with the New York Knicks is definitely merit-based.
Yeah,
right?
I would probably say I agree with that too.
And I'll save the rest of that for later, but it's definitely merit-based. If you don't think Tom Thibodeau getting the New York Knicks job is not merit-based, then you haven't been paying attention to basketball, because it's all based on his merits from past coaching. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, we needed that big name apparently. So let me say what I think he will do, which is I'm just going to echo Andy's sentiments. I think when Derrick Rose comes back healthy, he's going to go into the starting lineup. And outside of that change, I don't know what else he's going to do. We'll get RJ Barrett back, and I think those will be his two changes. To me, that'll be enough for him to say the team will be playing better with two pieces that we haven't had during this horrible stretch. That's what I think. That's what I think he'll do. What I think he should do, and I've been saying it all year. I mean, maybe okay, not all year, but for a lot of part of the year, I think. Especially now it makes sense. I think he should figure out a way just to sit, bring them all in the room together so they can feel like they're one. Burks, Kemba, even Fournier. Just for Fournier, I'm going to cut your minutes down, but you can go. You're going to play. Tell Kemba, I'm not going to be playing you. Tell Burks, listen, I'm sorry. I got to cut your minutes a little bit. I want to see what these young guys are about, because we might have to make some moves. And if we don't know what they are, I can't move them. So I think that's what he's got to do. He's got to sit some of these vets down and say, you're still here, but I need to see these young guys. And let's just play these young guys and see what they can give us. And maybe we'll play better on the court than we have been. We don't know that. I don't think we're going to be that much worse, to be honest. I know some people might say that, hey, they're going to be struggling out there. We're going to look like terrible basketball. We look like terrible basketball right now. We're good for 3 quarters. So I don't know. I want to give the young guys a shot so I can see what I got. And it's not about me being a young guy homer or anything like that. I just think you got these guys that you drafted. We don't have a point guard. Let's give Deuce an opportunity to see what he can do once again for a stretch of games, maybe 10, 15 games. And then at least we can say, nah, you know what? Deuce he can't pick it up. There's something missing. So we trade him in the offseason. I don't know. I just think we got to look at what we got.
Okay. See, I agree and disagree with you. Right, because I think, if you have that conversation, you just say, Leon, waive these guys so they can go play for a playoff team. If I'm not going to play those guys, guys that, I've built trust with them, we developed whatever kind of relationship, I'd rather them not be on my basketball team. Because I'm just speaking, for me as a coach. If I have those guys on the floor and regardless of what anybody else believes, if I believe that those guys give me a better chance in this specific basketball game, I'm going to put them in the game. You know what I mean? So if Tom Thibodeau believes that Alec Burks or Kemba gives him a better chance, then it goes against his principles not to put him in the game. So I say, tell Leon Rose, waive him, let him go to a playoff team somewhere, then I have no choice but to play these guys. You know what I'm saying? If that's the way it's going to go. And I think, me as a coach, I wouldn't feel comfortable going to Alec Burks or Kemba Walker. I mean, not that either one of them have played well, really, really well this season. But knowing that they're vets in the league, they have a certain stature in the league, I wouldn't feel comfortable coming to them and saying, hey, I'm going to ask you to mail it in for the rest of this season. Sit on the end of the bench. You know what I mean? Be ready in case I have to put you in. I just don't think that's fair. You know what I mean? So I'd rather just waive them, let them go on to another team, and then, go ahead and let Cam play, Deuce play, or whatever the moves you're going to make. The problem with that is if the Knicks plan on making any moves during the draft or during the offseason, the way that their contracts are structured, you might need those contracts.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's where I think a problem really does come in. There's a conflict there. That's assuming that Thibs would want to play, some of these other guys. There's a conflict there.
And Sim, when I'm talking about playing Deuce, I'm also talking about playing Cam and Taj sitting down so that we can see Jericho Sims as well. And I know some people may not, obviously there's these guys, some of these guys just aren't necessarily, they don't have the NBA game down yet. So they're going to look bad. But you know what? We're not going anywhere. And I think as Knicks fans, you're going to disillusion yourself if you think that somehow we're going to make the play-in and be a good team once we get into the play-in and playoffs possibly. That I don't think we're going to make it. But even if we do, we're going to get smacked because this team has a lot of issues. And I'd rather us not make it so that we have a better chance of acquiring more talent through the draft or what have you. Why do we always do this as a Knicks team? We always get to this point where we have a horrible season, whether it's warranted or not. We're like, people are calling us tankers and all this stuff. Then we get our mathematical odds. Oh, the Knicks have odds of getting the top 5 pick if this happens, blah, blah, blah. And then we go on to win the last 5-6 games and we destroy those odds. And then we're not getting the best possible talent and we still stink. And then we're just repeating the cycle. I'm not saying they should lose. I'm just saying give these kids a chance to play. That's all. I still want to win, but I'd rather win with the young kids.
Right. And
Ron.
Let me just jump in for 1 second. 1975, Jamrock, he said, why would you waive all those players and have that dead money on the cap next year? That makes no sense. I think I just answered the question when I talked about trading at the trade deadline in the summer, et cetera, et cetera. So go ahead, Steph.
Is it right? I know Andy had his hand up. But what I would say, just to push back a little bit, Ron, is we've been doing that. That's what we've been doing since 2013, losing and getting draft picks, getting lottery picks. And where has that gotten us? Not far. So we really think, and especially you got to think about how the lottery odds are now. Doesn't mean because you're in the lottery, you're going to get one of those top 5 players. We tried that with Zion. We didn't get it. It was a few other times. We wound up picking later than our record. So there's no guarantees with the lottery, especially the way it is right now. But this is what we've been doing since 2013. We got KP out of that. We got Frank out of that. We got Knox out of that. It's a crapshoot. The only person now that's coming into his own is RJ and maybe Mitch, who's been a little bit, up and down. For me, you play to win. If that lands you in the lottery, that's where you land. If that lands you in the 15th seat, that's where you land. You play to win, and it's step by step. Now you lose in the offseason. Okay, given what we did right now, we know what we have because we played to win. What changes do we need to have to go to the next level? This idea of using the last few games as a scrimmage, just so that we can see what other people can do, I'm just not for that. I think that if you've ever played basketball, if you've ever coached, you know what that's like. If you had a 0.5% of making the playoffs and the coach came to you and said, you know what? We're going to sit the vets. We're going to play the young people. You would look at your coach like you was crazy,
Right.
And you can't even ask a coach who's going to be judged on wins and losses to do that. If that's going to happen, that has to be a front office decision.
Yeah,
a coach is not, because he's being judged on wins and losses. And the last point I want to make is Thibs sees these guys in practice. He sees Reddish in practice. He sees McBride in practice. So it's not like he doesn't know what they can do. They're probably making mistakes in practice, and he doesn't believe in using a basketball game as a training ground. He believes if you earn it, that's how you get the time, not that you're going to get better. Well, you earn it, then once you get your playing time, you get better from it. But he's not going to give you that playing time just so you can get better on the court.
Yeah, and me, I agree with that philosophy as well, because I think you do see players in practice, and you understand what they can and cannot do. You know what I mean? Now, do you have every once in a while where a player gets an opportunity and they show out? Obviously, that happens. You know what I'm saying? And they might show out to the point where you're like, man, I gotta keep this guy on the floor. But I think for the most part, you see a guy in practice, and if there's a guy, I don't care what coach it is, they want to win basketball games because, like Steph said, their job depends on it. If there is a guy that comes into your organization as a rookie and he outshines everybody, he's going to play. I don't care. I'm sorry. He's going to play. Andy, you were going to say something? I'm coming to Josh.
Just Josh, before you go, to the things that Ron said. Listen, I don't think we gave anything free for anyone previous seasons. Frank didn't get burned for nothing. Other rookies and young guys or even vets, when they didn't, everybody told this to me years and years back, right? If you're not doing it in practice, you're not going to get minutes. So I'm not going to change suddenly this season. And meanwhile, listen, Deuce is on my wall. And I'm not going to give him anything free. I didn't get anything free. I think that everything should be earned. And that's one thing. And to Sim's point about the vets, listen, this isn't the situation that Burks is signed like through the next 5 seasons. And no matter what he does, how much he plays and how good he plays, he's going to get the money. He signed, guaranteed money just for this season. And if the Knicks pick up the option for the second season, right? So he's not going to take the news that, listen, we're just going to bench you because we want to, look at the young guys. Meanwhile, you're going to have a hard time to find a job in the next season. If he was signed through 4 more years, he would be like, okay, that's not going to be a problem. I'm going to still get that, $8 million a year and stuff like that. If he's not certain of his job next season, even these 20 games left, that might be a problem in his career development. So he's not going to be happy with that. And it's like Sim said, if we're going to cut these guys, we're not going to have leverage to fill that salary cap thing to trade someone in the off season. So, and I don't think they're free agents that's gonna just come to the Knicks because we have so much open cap space. So we have to keep those contracts. And as Tim said, if you got these guys on the roster and they're not injured, you gotta play them. You gotta play the best guys you have. And listen, the last thing I'm gonna say, and shout out to State. He says we shouldn't tank on purpose because of the basketball gods, man. And if we're gonna tank, we're still gonna drop in the lottery, knowing the Knicks luck. So I rather play it out and cross my fingers on the lottery night than just try to tank and then see us falling down two seats for the draft. So
yeah, and let me get Big Bubba in here. He said he says he's begging to get back in because he says he's got a lot to say on this topic, so it better be insightful. But Josh, let me come to you first. You were going to jump in there, then I'll get to Big Bubba. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I can disagree. Well, first of all, Andy, Alec Burks' contract is guaranteed for next season, so he will make guaranteed money. I think
but it's not like 5 years ahead, right? So
right.
It's basically a contract year after this one. So
correct. So the first thing, this notion that I would much rather see the kids play, even if they lose. I know that they're developing. To me, that is nonsense. I've been a Knicks fan for a long time, and when the team is not winning, everyone's ready to get rid of everybody, and everyone's ready to trade everybody. Okay, so this whole thing that Knicks fans say, I'd rather see the kids play, even if we're losing, I'll be okay with that. No, you won't. That's not true. And case in point, Emmanuel Quickly.
I would.
Emmanuel Quickly is 22 years old. And last season, everyone was like, the Knicks got him. They found him a gym in the draft, this, and that. And now everyone's ready to see Emmanuel Quickly's head on a stake. And he's 22 years old. And he gets playing time, right? So that's just not true, all right? The second thing that I want to say in regards to what Steph said about, it has to come down from the front office. I absolutely agree with that. As a coach, you want to win every game that you play because ultimately you're going to be judged off wins and losses. But this whole thing about the kids getting extended minutes, because we know they're getting minutes right now, has to come down from the front office, and they have to be in lockstep because ultimately Thibs has to trust the front office that he is not left hanging on a string just the way Steve Mills did Fizdale when they didn't win games. He has to trust that his job is still intact and he's still a part of that process. And the front office has to be like, Thibs, I need you to do this. And he has to be willing to do that. So they have to be lockstep in that particular process.
Can I jump in here, Josh? Because see, where I disagree is that I personally don't think that the front office should tell the coach who to play. Right? So that's why I think you take those options off the table. You might explain to him like, listen, we're going to, we're not telling you who to play, but we're going to take these options off the table for you. We're going to take them out of here so that you can't play them and you have no choice but to play these guys out here. You know what I mean? To me, the front office just should not tell the coach who deserves playing time because they're not there. I just don't see that.
I don't know if they're telling them that, but it's the direction of the team. Like we're going to go in a different direction.
Exactly, the direction of the team. But and I think with the direction of the team, you bring in those players that fit your direction. And then you let the coach sort out, to me, you let the coach sort out what he's going to do with those players. Because I feel like
it's a cleaner process that way if they're able to do it. That's cleaner.
Right.
Yeah. Because I feel like it sets a bad precedent when the front office says, we need you to play this guy. Right? Because now let's just say there's a guy that isn't working hard, lackluster in practice, doing this and doing that, but they say, we need you to play this guy. You know what I mean? I just don't want to have that kind of I wouldn't like to have that type of precedent set.
Well, Tim, some coaches will be willing to do that. That happens around the league all the time when you have the front office that say, okay, this is the direction they want to go in. And some coaches are like, okay, I understand that, but they have to trust that the front office has their back anytime, if something happens or to where, you see that kind of situation and that the front office, the coach knows that his job security is good. Right. So I think that could be something that could be worked out. Right. They have to be on the same page in that regard. But I just think that if that's the case and we want to see extended minutes for the kids, that has to come down from the front office. Because the Knicks have young kids on their roster and they're playing their kids. The fans want to see extended minutes for the kids. And to me, if Thibs is not going to do that, the front office has to be like, okay, this is the direction we want to go. It's either you with us or you're not. And if he's not, you got to find a new coach. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And see, I think if Leon Rose in the front office said, this is what we want you to do, and he said, I'm not willing to do that.
He's gone.
I mean, but I feel like if they say we want you to play the kids, and he says I'm going to play who I feel gives me the best shot to win, I think a lot of coaches are going to look at the front office and say I'm not going over there.
Oh, Sam, that's
I'm
a
not going
whole
over
other question.
Yeah,
If
that's-
they
that's
get rid of
something
Thibs, period, the Knicks gonna have to pay $10 million a year for a coach.
Yeah, I think they're going to look and say I'm not going over there. I'm not going to have the front office tell me what I can and can't do. And when I see these guys every single day in practice, you know, I see these guys every single day on the bench. Like I'm talking to these guys day in and day out, and you're gonna, you're gonna tell me that I can't, who I should or should not be playing. That's why I think to make it easy, the front office just takes it off the table, takes the option off the table, and let the coach
That's
do
fair.
what the coach is gonna do. I think that's the best way to go about it. Because if I'm a coach and I know, like my man said, my job should be based on my merits. Right? But you're telling me who to play, and I play those guys, and we still aren't doing whatever. I know at some point my head is on the chopping block, and some of it is going to be due to the fact that you asked me to play this person or that person. I'm going to die on my own hill. That's the way.
Right.
That's the way that.
And Tim, can I just say I have a lot of pushback on this issue. But I know Isaiah is waiting to speak. But if after Isaiah says something, if I could jump in again and say one more thing to retort, what Steph and Josh feel about it. I understand. I'm with you guys. I have a different outlook on it because of other reasons.
Yeah. All right. We'll let Isaiah get to wherever
Flores
he's
to go
going.
10 games.
I guess we'll let Isaiah get to wherever he's going because I don't feel like he's beard
Looks
all
like he's
over the
sprinting
microphone
somewhere.
and all of that. I don't know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? All right, Isaiah, are you settled? Are you ready to speak your piece? Like, what's going on?
So sorry, I was just jetting. Had to go to a whole different location real quick. Okay. All right.
Few deep breaths for Isaiah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, my bad. I was jetting.
Like,
like 10 steps. It took like 10 steps.
First of all, it wasn't.
He didn't
It
go
wasn't
up any
just a-
stairs.
Yes, I
You
did.
literally walked down the hallway.
Yo, you're still on the top of the staircase, bro.
No, I didn't. Shut up, Andy. Shut up. No, so where do I begin? Because to me, just with Tom Thibodeau and everything, and just him not playing the kids, I think it's an issue. I'm with Ron, honestly, on this issue because, again, Steph, you said something earlier, right? You said something about practice. If you're on practice, if you're playing good in practice, you should get playing time. For Thibs, right now, that whole thing that he's been talking about this whole year, that's a little BS to me. Because you can't say Kimba cannot be that good at practice that you playing him. He can't be. He can't be that good to be playing him for 20 minutes. I'm sorry.
Isaiah, he has to beat out IQ. Really? For the point guard position. He has to beat out IQ.
No.
man.
But see, Andy. So this is my problem. So here's my problem. To me, it's not even about IQ. It's to me more about McBride now. Because to me, it ain't no way. It's no way to me that McBride shouldn't be getting playing time on the main roster. It should be no reason why they're doing it.
I mean, when you're talking about, when you say if a player plays good in practice, they should get playing time. Playing good in practice doesn't mean you're playing better than somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You can play good, but it doesn't mean that you're outplaying somebody else. You know what I mean? And I don't know what happens inside of practice or not. You know what I mean? McBride could be playing really good. He could not be playing really good. But just because you're playing well doesn't mean you're outplaying somebody else. You know what I mean? And I understand, as people look at, where you are in the season, they say, well, at this point, there's no reason for this guy to do this or this guy to do that. And that's where I think the front office steps in and makes the decision. The front office steps in and makes the decision on which way the team should go.
So this is my big issue, and this is one of my big issues with Tom Thibodeau, right? He's not exaggerating he's not trying everything to win. He can't keep saying that he's putting himself in the best position to win when he's continuing doing the same thing that keeps making him lose. you started the same starting five. I'm sorry, like we all know it's not happening. He knows it's not happening. So why don't you try Deuce? Why don't you at least start IQ and then let Deuce come off the bench? Or you have Cam Reddish play. You have some of these Cam Reddish play more minutes. Or you have Jericho Sims over Taj Gibson. That to me right now, he looks gassed out. And he looks like this is last year because he just looks.
He looks gassed out because he's playing well though. Like when he's in the game, he gives you good minutes. He can't go for a long period of time, but you get. But
Steph, that's my thing, right? It's not about Taj being old. It's not about Taj being gassed. It's about, to me, you save Taj for those good minutes and don't overexert him. And then you play maybe a Jericho Sims if Mitch can't play. And because to me, my thing is that we'll be complaining about the sophomores on this team next year when they haven't got the experience to play at a real NBA game. That's the problem. What I'm going to be saying next year is that people are going to get, and I already see it, people are going to get mad at Deuce if he does this certain mistake, or they're going to get mad at Jericho Sims for fouling out in 5 minutes when he could have been making these mistakes this year. That's already a losing season. I'm sorry, we're not going to go nowhere. Why not give these guys the experience so that next year that we can do something again? And again, I'm not trying to compare us to other teams, but you see these guys go through these rough years, with the first rough year with some of these rookies, and then next year these guys looking good. And I'm not saying it's going to happen for the next year.
We did that too, Isaiah, with OB and IQ. We doing it too. Just because we're not doing it with every single young player, we're doing the same thing.
That's where I am.
But Steph, I'm saying.
But hold up, that's where I am. I mean, you can't expect that every single young player that you get is going to be playing major minutes. That's not a realistic expectation.
Sim, I'm not saying that, but Sim. So okay, for example, right? This is my thing, and I'm not saying, and I do agree with you. It's not going to be for everybody that we pick is not going to be a 30-minute player. That's how the NBA rolls. But what I'm saying is, okay, we already know what Grimes. We got Grimes. That's already in the back pocket. He's going to stay. But I'm saying for guys like Deuce, who has a real chance of making real difference at the point guard position that we've been begging for 25 years.
But that's in your opinion.
So why draft him?
No. This is
what?
This is where I think people make the mistake. At some point, you got to say the coach, just trust that the coach is doing what's best.
He's not doing what's best.
In your opinion. Because you're not in practice. You don't see what goes on. Hold on. Stop. You're not there. So you don't know what is actually best because you don't see. Can I finish?
Sorry. I apologize.
Because you don't see what's going on day to day. You just see what you see on your television screen. You know what I'm saying? So because this is the reason why I say when it comes to direction, the front office has to step in. You let the coach make the decisions on the court. When it comes to direction, the front office steps in. So if you want the kids to play, then the front office has to make that decision and get rid of the older guys that's out there because the coach is going to make the decision that he or she feels is best for the team. Right or wrong, if you agree with it or not agree with it, the coach is going to make that decision.
Okay, so can I just real quick, Andy? My big thing with the practice thing is that I know you're a coach, and I wholeheartedly get it. I was a player, you were the coach, so I get it. You literally see everybody. I'm sorry, man. There's no way that Kimba is just murdering dudes in practice.
It's not about that. It's not about that.
It's
not about that at all.
How's the team playing when he's on the floor is another indication.
It's not about is he murdering him. It's not about that at all. You know what I'm saying? Like that is so surface to me. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really get into it because hold on.
Deuce is a rookie.
I get
he's
that.
He's not gonna know. But
everything. You don't know if there are times when they're trying whatever, when they're doing whatever, and he said, well, let's run Deuce with the first unit, but he didn't know where to be. I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm just saying maybe he didn't know where to be. Maybe he missed. We see his on-ball defense, but maybe he missed some defensive rotations and some assignments that Thibs didn't like. Maybe there were some things like that he's like, I want this guy to pick this up first. Because as a coach, your job is also to protect the players and make sure that they're put in a position so that they can be successful, right? And so this is the reason why front offices hire coaches, because they expect them to assess all of this and then decide who's going to be able to get out there on the floor and be successful for the team as well as for themselves. You know what I mean? And if things aren't happening, you were the coach 1-2 years. Obviously last year he won Coach of the Year. You know what I'm saying? That buys him some time, I think. You know what I mean? You get to next year and you feel like, we're not seeing the progress that we want. Maybe it's time to do something else. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, front office, you set the direction and then let the coach play who's out there on the floor. You know what I mean?
So can I ask you a question?
Without stepping into it, because you got to trust that the coach, being, who should hopefully be a master at their craft at this level, has a good idea at who's good enough to be out there on the floor and give the team the best chance to be successful.
So can I ask you a question? I know, Andy, I'm sorry. You're going to get your question out. Do you think, in your opinion, and straight up, has Thibs has put his best foot forward and his best options on the floor for us to win? Has he done that so far this season?
His best options? Probably.
But
what other options do you have? Listen, I'm sorry. Putting Deuce in that starting lineup or Deuce getting more minutes is not getting you any more wins this season. So, yes, I think he's used his options. Deuce might have a great future in the league. I don't think that Deuce McBride getting 30 minutes, starting or not starting, changes your win total. I don't.
Okay,
I don't.
I will say this. I believe this is just more Deuce minute. If you put Quickly in that starting five, at least Quickly, and give Deuce Quickly's minutes, or give Deuce 30 and then give Quickly 30 and give Deuce 15 or whatever it is, how that works out. I believe we'll have a better chance to win versus you playing Kimba, or even playing Burks at the point guard position. I think if you gave Quickly and Deuce to hold the point guard position, it's better than Kimba and Burks.
But Isaiah, us losing these last few games has been mental. It has nothing to do with talent. We've been up 27 points, exactly. 21 points, 23 points. We haven't been able to sustain. That's mentality. You're going to tell me a rookie's going to change that?
Why not? See, we hold on, Steph.
Because it takes time.
But Steph,
fans are wishing for Jeremy Lin's situation to be all over.
But Steph,
season. Not Jeremy Lin.
No,
because it's not points, Isaiah. We're talking about the mentality to be able to hold on to a lead, not bend, not break, still make plays down the stretch. You're telling me
I know. Wow. But hold on, Steph. See, this is okay, Steph. That's like saying Evan Mobley shouldn't be playing as much minutes as he could, and he's a rookie. He's helping the team. He's helping the Cavs be a top.
Nobody's saying that.
What do you mean?
We got rookies playing. We got 50% of our roster is under 24.
Why he's not playing. They're not one of the top.
Bro, Deuce McBride is not Evan Mobley.
I'm not saying okay. I'm not okay. Yeah, see, y'all taking a little me saying Deuce it's not about that. I'm saying those lapses in the third quarter when Kimba's getting targeted, pick and roll to death, and getting switched on. You're not telling me Deuce can hold his own at least a lot better than Kimba?
But we still wouldn't win, and that's the point. We're not going to win. Fans think that if you put these rookies in the game and these young players and give them extended minutes, we're not going to win. Right. And fans are not going to be pleased with them. And just like you seen when Randall was out due to health and safety protocols, we put the kids out there. We lost
for two games. Hold on. It was two games.
Hold on, let me finish. We lost those games. We barely broke 80 points, and everyone was ready to trade everybody. Oh, these kids ain't it. These ain't the right kids.
Josh, it's two games. You're going to really do a small simple.
Listen to me. I'm telling you, this is what the fan reaction was. So when the fans say that, I'd rather see them, and I'll be okay with the team losing if we get as long as we have the kids out there. That's nonsense. Knicks fans are not like that. They're ready to trade everybody. Emmanuel Quickly's 22 years old, and people want to trade him right now. Last season, Tom Thibodeau was the toast of the town. Development. The Knicks are doing a phenomenal development job. What an awesome job Leon Rose is doing, and Scott Perry and World Wide West. And now that we're not winning, all that stuff goes out the window. Everyone wants to fire everybody. So I'm talking about the fan reaction, Isaiah. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fan reaction.
Let me get to Andy and then come to Ron. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy.
Listen, I got a question for Isaiah, because if he and the rest of the fans that are asking for Deuce to start from the next game, the next play, do you guys really think that he is going to change the roster so much that he's going to be like earning the 30 minutes of play till the end of the season? Because I don't think so. And listen, he's sitting on my left shoulder where the angels sit, and the devil's on the right one. So I believe in him so much. Isaiah, I believe in him so much, really, man. But I don't think that in the current Knicks situation, where we are 2 or 3 games out of the play-ins, that's even fair for Deuce to be put in the starting lineup and being asked for him to be the starting point guard and lead the Knicks to the play-ins. It's still too early. Get him off the bench, play him first 20 minutes, play him 30 minutes. But if he's going to play better, you can't just give someone something for free. You just can't do it, because it's not going to be fair. Isaiah, fans are going to turn on Deuce faster than they did on Frank, faster than they did on IQ.
Yes.
It's going to be the same situation. And then you're going to be asking to trade him, because he's going to have, like, in 20 games, he's going to have like 5 bad games, 5 good games, and 10 are going to be like, he can play like 10, 11 minutes that Obi's playing. And Obi's a top 8 pick, not top first round.
But okay, so Andy,
you have to give him a fair chance, and a fair chance for a rookie, and picked in the in the first round, late first round, or whatever he was picked in the second round. Yeah. Just let him play 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and let him earn those minutes. That's going to be fair for him.
Who's to say he can't play next season? Who's to say that all these kids that we got can't play next season?
See, but Josh, did y'all hear what I was? Okay, so let me respond to Andy real quick. Andy, I agree with you. I literally just said that. Okay,
how do you agree with when you want to put him in the starting lineup?
No. What did I just say, Andy? What I just say, Andy? I said I'll be comfortable starting IQ at point guard and letting Deuce get the minutes coming off the bench that IQ was getting. I'll be comfortable with that. But what I'm saying is that we don't know, Andy. We don't know. We are in the craps right now. We have lost big leads and we have not changed anything. So y'all telling me that we're going to stay the same after the All-Star break, and we're going to continue to do the same thing. We're going to continue coming on here mad as hell, talking about we need to do something. But when I say that we should do something else, we can't play the rookie. He's young. Man,
what we need to do is beyond this roster.
Right, it's beyond this roster.
We don't know that. We can't. No, we can't say that.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Hold on. I'm going to say this. Then I want to get to Ron, because you're not going to monopolize everything.
I'm not
I've watched Deuce play when he's out there, and he's had a couple of good moments where he scored some buckets, knocked down some threes. But I've seen a lot of times where I'm like, okay, he's over dribbling here.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to see him standing on the wing, putting the ball between his legs a bunch of times, trying to go someplace, and he's not going anywhere. So there's some things there that I think he needs to work on. And I'm not saying other people haven't done it. I'm not saying that, right? But as a rookie, I'm like, okay, and IQ does the same thing. But obviously IQ, he had more playing time last season. He proved some things to Thibs. Thibs trusts him. But with Deuce, I didn't see anything that tells me, you put him in there, it's going to change a whole heck of a lot going on with this team. You know what I mean?
You're saying that, but we don't know. We're talking about a bunch of unknowns that we don't know.
And you don't know. See, that's the question.
I was just about to say that.
You don't know. I don't know. Such and such doesn't know. The coaches know. That's what I'm saying. The coaches know. The fans, we see from the outside. The coaches see from the inside. That's where I see it.
And Isaiah,
we want to see.
Thibs is not going to say, like, listen, I saw Isaiah on NBK and he told me to put in Deuce McBride in.
You never know, Andy.
But he's not going to call out you, bro, that you told him to put in Deuce when he's going to be bad.
Right.
He's going to take the blame. So the decision is on him. We can blame Thibs all we want, but he ain't going to blame us.
And that's why I'm saying to you, you blame Thibs, but to me, you have to look at the front office and say, you want these young guys to play, take the vets off the board. Now the young guys are forced to play. That's where my thought is.
Which can still happen, by the way, in the offseason. Everything is not based on this season and what we're doing right now. That development and the playing time and all that goes beyond this season. And I think a lot of fans don't realize that. They're looking at what's in front of them right now, and they're judging the whole process. They're judging the whole developmental process. But this rebuild that we were talking about last season and the years beyond continues to happen. It's not right now this season. Yeah, I think fans get that mixed up all the time.
Let me get the Ron. Let me get the Ron, because Ron has some things he wanted to get in. He's been patient.
Thank you, Sam. Well, first off, let me say that the biggest problem I think that the Knicks are facing is they are not doing a proper rebuild. I think they've kind of skipped steps, and instead of us going with the process of continuing to grow, drafting and acquiring talent, we have a win now coach. And now all of a sudden we have this win now mentality. So we bring in Fournier, we bring in Kemba, who are more catered to being win now pieces than what we had in Peyton and Bullock. And I think the next step was to bring in the point was they were trying to see if they could get a star at the trade deadline. And I don't think anything panned out. And we couldn't move anybody to acquire that, or we were going to have to give up something that we didn't want to give up. So I'm just saying, I think the organization itself, there's a real difference of opinion. Maybe there was, one way of thinking prior to Thibs. Now that Thibs is here, there's another way of thinking. And Thibs has his own way of thinking, but I think it's messing up the process. It's skipping a step when we are clearly not ready. We've shown that we can go off to big leads and get these nice, games going for 3 quarters, and then we kind of fail down the stretch. We don't have a closer. We don't have a true point guard. Then Steph mentioned it's mental. You know what? What I've always known with regards to coaching is your coach he can't give you your skills. He can't make up for your ability. That's the player. But when the mental aspect comes into it, that's coaching. That's what I've always been told. Like, the mental aspect of it, obviously, is how you receive the information and what your mental makeup is. But the coach is supposed to instill that, just like when it comes to football. Penalties, things of that nature are all mental. They say that's coaching. So when I look at us not being able to know how to close out a game 4 different occasions after we've witnessed it in like almost the same week, and we're continuing to do it, that's coaching. So what I'm saying is, at this point, I things have changed in my process and how I think about this Knicks team. If it would have just been the same roster that we've had, and you say, well, Thibs feels like certain guys are not playing well enough in practice, they haven't earned the right to be out there in the court, and if I put them out there in the court, I'm going to expose them, and then the perception is going to be a certain way about these young players when they're not ready and they don't deserve that perception. I understand that. Where I lose that train of thought is when you go out and you bring in a guy like Cam Reddish, who, from everything we've known about Cam Reddish's, young career prior to becoming an NBA player, is this dude was a bucket getter. People said how good of a player he was, all the skills he's got, how he lit everybody up. Then he gets to the NBA, he doesn't really get the true talent, because the true playing time, because his talent's not shining. Maybe his motor is a little slow and he's not picking up things right away. But this last year with Atlanta, when he's been thrust into big minutes, he's been getting buckets and he's been scoring and showing that he can play. He's no Kevin Knox. Hold on, John.
No,
I know they traded him, but he asked for that trade even prior. He asked for it. And they obliged him. And they obliged him. I get it. Why? But they also had 3 other guys in the position ahead of him too. They had Bogdanovich. They got players. They're not the Knicks. We don't even have players at that wing position. They
kept Herter over Reddish, and I'm not saying Reddish is not.
Herter killed us in the playoffs last year, Steph. I'm just saying, Herter killed us.
Is he better than Reddish? Do you think Herter is going to be a better NBA prospect than Reddish?
I think the position they put.
I don't know.
The position they put.
No.
I think the position.
No.
Hold on. I think that.
No.
No. Hold on. Wait. I think the position they put Herter in the Hawks, he'll succeed next to Trey Young.
I'm going to tell you this. This is all about the basketball philosophy of the coach. He sees this guy fits my rotation, fits the bill, fits the skill set that I need. That's why those guys stay and the rest get moved.
Well, he's an idiot.
Not like. And it's not like the other way around. So Cam has to work his way on the good side of Thibs to get playing time. It's not going to be the other way around.
I need to address Ron because Ron, you mentioned two different things. You mentioned we skip steps in the rebuild, and then you mentioned what's happening right now. And what I'm trying to get across to everyone who wants to fire everyone and saying the Knicks aren't development, right? Those are two separate things. Everyone is so stuck on what the Knicks are doing right now. Oh, we lost 3 games in a row. We were up by 20-something points. So all of a sudden, our rebuild is compromised. That's two separate things, and I feel like you just combine them together. Reddish can get playing time next season. Deuce can get playing time next season. In the offseason, when we get rid of some of these guys, when the front office use those contracts to bring in other assets or shed cap or whatever, those guys will play. Why are we continuously stuck in what we're doing right now? I know why. Because we went to the 4th seed last year and everyone thought we'd be better than what we were. And that's what I'm saying. A rebuild is not a linear thing. It takes time.
Right.
Stuff has to happen.
Right.
So
Correct.
it's not.
So why don't you start now then? So
But no, we've started.
Now
We started last. Listen, and keep in mind, Thibs came in with the front office. So it's not like there was the front office had a plan, then they hired Thibs. Thibs and the front office came in together.
Exactly.
Okay. The other thing about a rebuild, thank you, Josh, it's not linear. You look at a lot of teams, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's not linear. We're still in the rebuild. And when you talk about skipping steps, there is no steps. There's different ways to skin a cat. There's different ways to build an organization, to build a roster. It doesn't have to be from the draft all the way through. And I think that that's a misnomer anyway, because whenever you have young cats, you always bring in vets. Boston had Jaylen Brown and Tatum. They brought in Irvin. Then they brought in Kemba Walker. So you always want to surround your young people with vets. It's never going to be just, look at Cleveland. Kevin Love is there. They brought in Rubio. So this idea that you just draft and you build through the draft, at some point you have to add vets, period. And if you already have vets on the team that can play, so what? The Knicks are still in the rebuild. The front office was trying to take the next step with Kemba and Fournier, and it didn't work. Happens all the time. So now in the offseason, they have to say, what are we going to do to fix this move? Because what we thought was the next step didn't work. That's it. Everybody is panicking, you know? We're still building.
Yeah.
We took a step back.
Yeah.
Steph, I don't think it's. I'm sorry, Ron.
When you look at Tom Thibodeau, his job, like Isaiah is saying, is to prepare the team for the next season, right? But he's going to prepare on his merits. He's going to prepare on what he thinks needs to be done. Fans get upset because teams don't do what they want the team to do.
And we have no NBA coaching experience,
right,
by the way.
You know, he's going to do what he thinks needs to be done. And the front office will determine whether or not it was the right move or not. You know what I'm saying? Because you are still building for next season. Even if you're not winning, you're still building for the next season. There are multiple ways that you can build for the next season. Yeah, you can build by saying, we're going to make sure Deuce gets 10 to 15 minutes a game. All right? You can also say, we're going to build by trying to figure out how to make this roster work together. There's multiple ways for building for next season, not just play the young guys. Do we want to see them play? Of course. I want to see them on the floor as well. But I also understand that there are many more things that come into play when it comes to a young person developing and growing, right? You don't grow only from being on the basketball court. You grow from playing some, watching some, learning certain skill sets, learning how to prepare. All of these things go into growing. So just because someone isn't on the court for 30 minutes doesn't mean that they're not growing. That's another form of development, being on the court. But there are other forms of development as well.
But so Sim,
I agree with that.
And so I agree with you, right? I agree. You listen to me? I agree with you.
But
there's a booty. You know there's a booty somewhere in there. Look, look. Of course, Sim, I wholeheartedly agree with you. So when I was a young kid playing football, of course I had to learn. When I was on the freshman squad, I had to watch the seniors play. When I thought I could be as good as them. Of course, I remember that. But you get better, you get stronger, you go in the gym. Yeah, of course. I understand that. You got to learn from them. You got to learn from not playing. You got to learn from all the things. You got to see people in your position that are a better level than you learn. You have to learn it. My thing is, but also you still got to play. like to me, McBride has barely got the minutes to play. To me, he's barely got the minutes to make. And again, I want people to get to know that I'm not saying that if Deuce came in here, we're gonna go on a 10-game winning streak. No, I think we'll probably win maybe 1 or 2 more games more if we had Deuce and them guys playing. Personally, that's my opinion.
Wow.
Better defense, and he wouldn't be getting killed on pick and rolls. But I'm saying that we should get this experience for them now, so that next season there are certain things that they can already get out of their system this year, and it won't be there next year. That's what I'm saying. Again, hold on. Wait.
Look at Emmanuel quickly right now. Last season, everyone was in love with Emmanuel quickly. Now
there was a lot of.
All right, but now,
but Josh,
at this current point, everyone wants to trade him, and he's 22 years old.
But Josh, you keep bringing up the Quickly thing, but Quickly is not. I understand what you're saying. People do want to get rid of Quickly, but I wanted to get rid of Quickly before he started stinking it up. I just don't think I'm saying I want him to go, but I'm saying if I had to trade one of my young pieces, he's the first guy I would think of because of what we already have on the team.
Let's keep it with Quickly though. Let's keep it with Quickly.
He a bum, son.
But Quickly, a lot of the stuff that you see this year, he also did last year.
Exactly.
But wait a minute. But Isaiah is saying, well, let Deuce play so he can get out all of his mistakes this year and do it next year. Quickly is doing the same exact things this year that he did last year.
I did not say. You put words in my mouth. I did not say. I did not say that if Deuce played this year, he's gonna get all the bad things out of the system. I didn't say he's gonna have some mistakes. Of course he is. He's a rookie point guard. Rookie point guard struggle more than anybody besides the center. And besides the center,
go ahead. Get to your point.
I'm just saying this is a valuable thing that he can learn this season.
I know.
It's not a training ground, though. But Isaiah, everybody wants to use the games as a scrimmage. Everybody wants the game to be where you go and just get experience. You're on the court to win, not to get experience for next year or 2 years down the line where you may not even be with the team.
But hold on, Steph. See, I got to disagree with you, right? And I guess I'm going to use this example. When Golden State did not have Steph Curry, did not have Draymond Green, did not have Klay Thompson. Guess what? They played their guys. Hold on a second.
Why? Wait a minute. Because the front office took certain players off the board so that they played young guys.
But Sim, hold on. I do a better example. I do the Toronto Raptors. They take guys from the G League, all the Fred VanVleet.
What you don't understand is those guys. But here's what you're not understanding. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Those guys might have been in the G League for 2 or 3 years on the Toronto Raptors, in the G League for 2 years, and didn't play their rookie year. And then all of a sudden in their third year, they're playing. And everyone looks at him and says, oh, wow, how come we can't get a guy like that? But they let him marinate in the G League for 2 years. While they were still part of the Raptors. That's exactly that's exactly how development goes. So you talked about Fred VanVleet. He was playing in the G League.
Siakam, same thing.
Had a chance to develop and grow. And then went and started getting his playing time. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right. And I'm not opposed to, I think we should use the G League more. Forget this up and down. Go down in the G League and stay there for the season.
Bring Kimber there too, please.
Just saying, there's different ways, man. There's just different ways of development. It's not one way.
But to me, so this is one. Last thing I want to say. And this is my opinion. This is my opinion. And yes, and this is my frustration. I'm frustrated because I feel like right now, currently, where the Knicks are, that we have a stubborn coach that is not adjusting, that is not doing anything good. We're playing vets heavy minutes. Cam's not getting that many minutes. A lot of people not getting that many minutes, and then we're losing with veterans. And I feel like we're not going anywhere. I feel like we're staying. Hold on, but George, I'm saying we feel like we're staying stuck. Just right now in the mud. Where at least if the young guys are in there, yes, and I know quickly Obi and them, they're barely in there. That the young guys are in there, they can gain the experience. That if we're going to lose, at least gain experience, at least do something like that. To me, at least gain the end game experience with those guys versus just losing with Kemba, losing with Burks, losing with Randall, collapsing in the third quarter and not doing nothing. We're not gaining nothing.
right now.
That's
Is
not gaining
anybody
nothing for
concerned
us.
about the fact that we losing, period? Everybody is concerned that we're losing with the vets. I'm upset that we're losing, period. Like, that's the concern of the fans. Oh, we're losing anyway. Put the young people in. We're losing. That's a problem. We're not even talking about why we're losing. We're just talking about, oh, it's over. We're losing. Put the young kids in. We're not even talking about the season.
I don't think anybody has a problem with having the young guys play basketball. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. But, I agree with Steph. That's, the issue is not just the young guys not playing. You've got to figure out how do you turn this thing around. And we're not talking about turning around this season. How do you, how do we prepare to turn it around for next season? And there's a multitude of ways you can do that. You know what I mean? But, everyone keeps talking about the young guys. We're literally talking about 2 young guys that's not playing. I'm sorry. Say what you want. We're talking about 2 young guys on this roster that's not playing basketball. And since you brought up Fred VanVleet in his first year as a rookie, he was 22 years old. He played 7.9 minutes per game when he was 22 years old with the Toronto Raptors.
How many games did he play?
37. 37.
Okay. All right.
Miles McBride has played in 21 games for the New York Knicks, and he's averaging 7.2 minutes per game.
Okay, we got Fred VanVleet now. Okay, we good.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is, we look at some, we want to look at, we want to do the microwave thing and just pop it in the oven and then boom, it's out and it's a complete product when it takes years of development. In his second season, okay, he came in, they recognized something in the second season. Now he played 76 games. You know what I mean? It doesn't always happen the way that you think that it should happen, but the facts are the facts. The Knicks are playing young players. I'm sorry.
Okay.
People keep saying that.
Hold on, Isaiah. Isaiah, you hold on one second. Let me just say this real quick, because I know Sim, we've been on this topic. I don't know if Sim has something else he wants to talk about. We can lead in. I know he's got super chats. I don't want to monopolize this even more. All I wanted to say is I think maybe what I'm saying has been taken out of context. Me and Isaiah are on the same wavelength, but I don't think necessarily we are of the same mind. I want to see these young players play, but what I want to do, I want to see them so that way we can see how we can use them if we're trying to make moves in the offseason. These guys, there's a rumor going around in the NBA that the NBA doesn't value the Knicks talent the way we value our young talent. And to me, some of that is a little, it's kind of like, all right, I get it, but also it's because certain people aren't playing. You think, the fact that Cam Reddish came here and is not getting minutes, when we had a situation where we played the Lakers and Malik Monk lit us up because no one could guard him, wouldn't it have been nice to throw in a Cam Reddish who's 6'8"? Wouldn't it have been nice to give him a different look when you already, I'm just saying my problem is not just about Thibs not playing some of these young guys. Okay, some of these guys aren't ready. As I've said, I'm just saying if you, in a situation, and this is where I really point to, a situation where our bigs are hurt. If Noel's out, Mitch is out, and all you got is Taj, and you got Jericho Sims sitting on the bench, you telling me you can't put Jericho Sims in the game for like 5 to 10 minutes to help you out? No, you want to play Taj 30 minutes, knowing that obviously he's going to give you good value, but he's older. That's going to kill him out there on the court. And then we don't have a backup. Then we go small and we get taken advantage of. All I'm saying is it doesn't make sense when if the player's in the G League, you can't go to him. But if he's on your bench, use the kid for a little bit of time. If he's horrible in that 5 minutes, okay, but you give the kid a chance to get, and you're also spelling your old veteran player. It's just certain things that Thibs does that I don't agree with, and that's why I don't think he's the right coach for this team. The way we're building, I don't
agree with him though. Other coaches.
I'm giving my opinion. This is just my opinion.
No, I understand. Other coaches do the same thing around the league.
Yeah. Let me get to a
coaches have different coaching philosophies. The Knicks knew who Thibs is not doing anything different than the Knicks hired him to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I say before that I don't think that he was the right coach. The Knicks wanted a name. We had some people out here that necessarily weren't the right mix for us, the Fizdales, the Hornaceks, and the Derek Fishers. They didn't give Mike Miller a true chance for whatever reason. Okay, fine. Then you brought in Thibs. Thibs is a name, and I get it. But I'm just saying for what this team has with the youth and the fact that you guys continue, I'm not saying you guys are forgetting. I'm just saying, Knicks fans, we're not getting these high price free agents. They're not coming to New York. So we're going to have to build another way. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These guys, I don't care what nobody says, they're not coming.
I mean, I
And as far as coaches, it's
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm done.
No, I said we could have had Kenny Atkinson, but it's all good.
okay. Let me get to super chat here. Kaiser Souls, he said, we're talking about practice when the vets get late in games and choke them away. We're in the lottery results no matter what. Who cares about vets practice reps? And actually, when you talk about practice reps, you're not really talking about the vets. You're talking about the young guys and that they've got to outplay the vets. You know what I'm saying? And still, practice still does mean something. You know what I'm saying? As much as you can or can't get, practice still does mean something because that's when you get to see what people really can do. And that's the big issue here. I can almost guarantee if a lot of us were able to see the Knicks in practice, some of our minds might even change. If we get to see them in practice, some of our minds might say, oh, I get it right now. I can understand why maybe this guy isn't playing the way we think that he should play. Shame LP said, vouching for Thibs is ridiculous. If you can only coach/play vets, then you're not qualified for this league. Anyone can win with vets. It's sickening. Well, the fact is, they're not coaching and just coaching and playing vets. Emmanuel Quickly is not a vet. RJ Barrett is not a vet. That's 2 players. Obi Toppin is not a vet. That's 3 players. Quentin Grimes is a rookie. That's 4 players. Mitchell Robinson is not a vet. That's 5 players. You're talking about a 10-man rotation, and at least 50% of them are not vets.
And Sim, let me. I don't want to get on the bad side of the NBK fam, but guys, it's your word and your hope. What you would do, that's going to pan out better than Thibs. And I'm not defending Thibs because I would switch up things as well. But it's not, being said that whatever we would do is going to be way better than what Thibs is doing now.
Yeah. I mean, Thibs, actually talked about the development of young players when he was talking about, when he was asked about the trade deadline. And this is what he had to say about it.
There's trade opportunities, there's the draft, there's free agency, there's all those things. And, Leon is looked at all those things. And so if something makes sense, we're going to do it. If something doesn't make sense, we're working with the people that we have. We got a young team that can get better. And that's where, we have to concentrate. We have to get these guys better. Hey, look, Mitch's development, RJ's development, Quentin's development, Quick, Obi, that's where our focus is, right? And Julius is still young and can still grow, right? So we have a lot of things, a lot of positives, and we got to get a lot tougher.
And right there, he just mentioned a slew of guys who are very young. This is where I just really get confused, you know what I'm saying? Because we're literally talking about Deuce and Jericho Sims. Literally, we're talking about those 2 guys. The whole thing with Cam Reddish, right now, he's playing, we'll see what happens when he comes back. When RJ Barrett comes back from the All-Star break, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? But, leading up to the All-Star break, Cam Reddish was getting some playing time. That whole thing and the way it's going down with the front office and Leon Rose and everything is just a little bit confusing to me because I figured no matter what, they were going to the front office was going to try to clear some space so that Cam Reddish could play because they gave up the first round pick. Whether or not Tom Thibodeau was for it or against it, I know, it came out that Tom Thibodeau didn't want Cam Reddish, and I don't think it's that kind of didn't want. Like, I don't like him as a player. I think it was like, we already got a rotation. Now you're taking someone out of the you're bringing in a player that deserves to bring in a rotation. How do you expect me to fit it in? I think it was that type of scenario. You know what I'm saying? More than I don't like Cam Reddish as a player. So it's difficult. And here's where Knicks fans, I see people in the chat saying stuff like, oh, this panel is stupid. This panel has no clue what to talk about and all kinds of stuff because they disagree. You know what I'm saying? And that is where I see Knicks fans really get out of control Because if you know, some Knicks fans feel that if it's not your way, then it's not the right way. And it's just not the case. People can have differing opinions, and you just got to respect that. If you can't respect that, then don't debate. People are going to have different opinions. Doesn't mean they're smarter than you or dumber than you. Or doesn't mean that you know more or they know more. It's just a difference of opinion and a difference in philosophy. You know what I mean? But, you know, you come at the panel and say, you know, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, da-da-da-da-da. It's an opinion. Everybody got one. If you don't like it, don't listen. I don't care. Go ahead, Josh.
Sim, so in regards to the trade deadline and the Knicks inactivity, I had absolutely no problem with that. And I know you guys covered it and you spoke about it at length. But, you know, this report that the Knicks, the people around the league feel like the Knicks young guys don't have any value and their assets don't have any value. I just don't think that was the case. I think the Knicks front office was reluctant to give up assets to get rid of some of these. Why would I give up a first round pick just to make space in the rotation for Cam Reddish? That doesn't make sense. That goes against what the Knicks are trying to do. Why would they give up assets to do something like that? To me, I felt like the smart thing to do for the organization, is just my opinion, is if your front office says that you want to get Cam Reddish some minutes, then you definitely tell the coach that this is the direction we want to go in. And I know, Sim, you disagree with that. But to me, if that's the direction that they want to go, they should let Thibs know, listen, we got to get this guy some minutes. We got to get him some playing time. And, you know, if Thibs doesn't want to go aboard with that, or the whole process of rebuilding and playing the kids extended minutes, then Thibs is at fault. But I think the front office needs to set that direction and make that clear. And I just don't think they were willing to give up first-round picks for contracts that expire next season that are also assets, right? And give up those just to get Cam Reddish some playing time. So to me, that doesn't make sense. I think next season is when we'll really know, you know, about Cam Reddish, about him getting extended minutes and the rest of the young kids. So that was the approach, and that's why I had no problem with what the Knicks did or did not do at the deadline.
And look, for the record, I think that Cam Reddish can really help the team. I like what he brings.
Same.
I think that he brings something that the Knicks just haven't had. And they were hoping to get with Kevin Knox, right? He's 6'8", he's got a lot of length, he can penetrate. He's one guy on the team that can break a zone without it having to be shooting, because he has the ability to get inside. I like the way he can get inside, jump in the air, hang, you know, change the shot up a little bit if he needs to. He brings a lot of things to this basketball team that I think the Knicks need. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see him get out there, but again, all I can do is rely on Thibs, and I can't tell you if he's making the right or wrong decisions because I'm not there day to day.
Right.
You know, you know, that's the only thing I can say. You know what I mean? Because and what makes it tough is, you know, you see one player have a really, really good game, you know, and everyone's like, oh, see, he should play because he had 8 points and da-da-da-da-da. And then the next game he has 2 in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and nobody says anything, you know, or some people are like, see, that's why. And neither one are actually accurate. You know, it's not like, oh, he's got to play because he had 8 points in 15 minutes and he shouldn't play because he had 2 points in 20 minutes. It's probably somewhere in between. Like, you know, let him get his feet wet. You know, it's you know, obviously the New York Knicks have put everybody in a tough situation. But here comes the next question, and I know the answer to this for a lot of people. I know the answer to this. Should Thibs be fired? Andy, I'm going to start with you. Should Tom Thibodeau be fired from his coaching job as for the New York Knicks?
Well, Sim, this is a hard one for me, at least, because I'm not totally happy what Thibs does with the rotations, with the offense. Defense, I can live with it. But with the offense, I'm really mad that it's still so heavily based around Julius Randle, right? I still think that both Kemba and Evan Fournier are not used correctly. Still to this day, I realize that Fournier plays a little bit better last couple of games, but I still think he's not used correctly as far as my basketball philosophy goes. But I think it would hurt the Knicks more just to fire him than try to ride it out, because, listen, the best organizations in the league, they have stability and continuity. And if we're going to just juggle like in the circus, we're going to be viewed as a circus. That's as simple as I can go with this one. And listen, I know that fans are going to ask for his head, right? If you guys expected that we are going to be the 4th seed this season, you got to look yourself in the mirror and look deep into your eyes, man, because if you had that hope, I don't know what you were thinking.
Josh, your thoughts? Should he be fired?
Andy's absolutely spot on. I think a lot of this comes from the fans' expectations at the beginning of the season, and now that the fans have been proven wrong, myself included, now that we want to start blaming someone else instead of looking ourselves in the mirror. So I absolutely agree with that. But I think my assessment of Thibs is going to come down to one simple thing: does him and the front office on the same page? That's what it comes down to for me. If the answer is no, then he got to go. Simple as that. If they are on the same page and, there is some continuity there and the plan is still intact for what the front office laid out about building through the draft and developing the young kids, then Thibs should stay. I'm not looking at the wins and losses of this season to determine whether, how good of a job Thibs is doing, because I know that there's a greater goal in place, and that's developing these young kids and helping their development and helping them grow. So if that's the case, that's where I'm at with it. But I do want to say this: if there is a lack of continuity between the front office and Thibs, the front office has grounds to fire him. They have the grounds to fire him, plain and simple as that. But if they do have continuity and the front office is okay about what's going on in the development, then he should stay. It shouldn't be based off of this season.
Yeah, and I thank you, Josh, for adding that, because I was going to say that too. So if they're going separate routes, listen. Yeah. If there's a rift, separate routes between the front office and the players, someone has to go. The two closest, sides stay. The third party gotta go.
Right. So that's where I guess that's my question comes in. If they're not on the same page, who knows who's on the correct page?
The other two parties that are closer.
Well, no, Sam, no. But I think the front office is the one that sets the direction for the ball club. Not the head coach. I'm talking about in the long term. The coach is there with them every day in practice, worried about the short term, worried about them winning game by game. But to me, the front office is what lays out what the direction of the ball club, the president of basketball operations. So I think that's the page that we have to go with, whether it's correct or not. But he's the one that sets that out there, and he sets the goal for what a team is trying to be at the end of the day. That's why the owner pays them the money to run the basketball
my question is, did Leon Rose ever put out any kind of direction that the team was going in?
Yes, the first press conference he did. A lot of people don't remember that. The first interview that he did with Mike Breen, it's clear as day. He said that their plan is to build through the draft and to develop the young players while simultaneously putting together a competitive roster on the floor. That was said, 2 years ago when he got the job, that first offseason, right? But no one wants to go back to that. Everyone's worried about what they're doing right now.
So then, what would, if you're looking at right now, what would Tom Thibodeau have done right now that would make you think, and I'm not saying you think this way, I know you're saying if they're not on the same page, but has he done anything right now to make you think maybe he's not on the same page with the front office any longer? Because you're talking about, winning as well as building, through the draft and with young players. So if you're talking about both of them, Tom Thibodeau might be like, well, I want another impact player. And Leon might be like, I want another young player. They're both still on the same page. Right? So what would you think Tom Thibodeau has done to, make him say, well, I'm not on the same page?
I don't think he did anything. I don't think he did anything specifically that I've seen that said that they're not on the same page. However, the reports that came out about Wesley going to Dolan, that's troubling. And the report about him not wanting Cam Reddish, that's also troubling to me. And I've always told you that. That's very troubling for me because that tells that there's a disconnect somewhere in there. Specifically from Thibs, I haven't seen anything specifically that he did, but those reports that came out to me were very troubling, and that's why I have to question if that's the case or not.
But does the front office and the coach not agreeing have to be troubling? I mean, that happens. I'm pretty sure that happens a lot in the NBA, where the front office is like, we like this guy, and the coach is like, I don't really like this guy. They're like, well, we're going to get this guy. Let's see if it works. And he's like, okay, I'll see if it works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Sam. Listen, I don't know how serious it is. I don't know how serious it is. I'm just saying, if it is serious enough to where there is some type of sabotage going on or whatever the case may be, that's troubling, and that will have to get looked at. And the front office knows that, obviously, and that'll determine whether Thibs will be here next season. And if that's the case, that's how it should be. He should be fired because they're not on the same page. But if it's not that big of a deal, then he should stay.
Okay, Ron.
Yeah, I think Thibs needs to be fired. I think he's a very strong, solid basketball mind. I take nothing away from what he did with the Knicks last year. He instilled a culture for them. But I do think, and I don't want to take anything away from him, but I do think that any coach that has that type of cachet and has been around organizations and winning would have been able to come in here and do that. I don't think it's necessarily just a Thibs thing, but I do like what he did as far as instilling that defensive culture. And I know he doesn't have necessarily the quote unquote right players for his system, which he would like to execute. So that's a knock on the front office, not giving Thibs the pieces that he would be comfortable with. At the same token, I think Thibs is not necessarily willing to deal with some of these young pieces that maybe he feels don't necessarily understand all of the X's and O's, like a Cam Reddish, who still is a little raw, even though he's a very talented player. I think there's something there where, as you can see, even with the type of minutes that Cam's been getting, sometimes he goes out there, he looks erratic, he's taking wild shots because I think he has that mentality, I just got to get it up. And maybe that's not the right mentality to have, especially to impress Thibs. I think that. Go ahead.
I think with Cam, I think that's kind of his mentality anyway. I think that's how he plays basketball.
It could be.
He's been known to be a guy who, he can look good, but can take some bad shots. That's part of a growing process of a young player too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was one of the issues in Atlanta. Shot selection,
right?
Some of those type of things. You know what I mean? And of course, that's a young man growing and learning how to play basketball on another level. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead. Finish.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I just think that, I personally feel that the Knicks made this hire because Thibs is a name. And of course, he likes the Knicks organization. He always wanted to coach the Knicks. You appreciate that. You want people, it doesn't matter if they're player, coach, anybody, you want people who want to be here because the Knicks, for too long, we've been struggling to get people to come and buy into what we got going on. And so we can never really change it around because we can't necessarily acquire that big name talent. So if a coach like Thibs wants to come here, fine. Who wouldn't take that? But I'm just saying, with the direction, at least with the talent that the Knicks have on the court, and a lot of it being young, I think Thibs was the wrong person to bring in because I just think he has a certain value system. And with this young team, we're not that far. I mean, listen, you say we got a mix of vets and a lot more young guys, right? But we're not that far away from these rebuilding teams like OKC. Like, they're not, we're like 5 games difference in as far as standings and stuff. And they have a bunch of young guys with really their direction is still trying to figure out who they are, and they're still trying to acquire talent. So even with our mix of vets, as far as standings wise, we're not really that far from them. And I'm saying I get what Thibs is trying to do, but you respect that type of coaching and that type of process when you're winning, and we're not winning. Before we were breaking down and losing these 20-point games, our record was bad. We're under 500 team, and that's what we've been for most of the season. So I'm just saying, I think personally, I think Thibs' style of coaching is just not necessarily geared toward today's NBA. Maybe he can win somewhere else. I don't know, but I think he's had his opportunities, his chances, and it hasn't necessarily worked other places either. I'm just saying, I think that we needed a different type of coach for this mix of players. And that's why I agree that that Thibs should be fired. Plus, I also think what Josh pointed to, the World Wide West thing, that's alarming because this team is button-lipped when it comes to gossip and stuff. You can't find out anything. They don't even want to come out and give us press conferences the way Steve Mills was doing. So they're trying to keep everything on the wraps, and then all of a sudden this leaks about World Wide West saying that. The other thing is, I saw on Twitter, on Spaces, and I say this because it's from the horse's mouth, Mitchell Robinson has been showing up on these Twitter Spaces, and they're like, well, why are you here? What's going on with you? And somebody asked him a question like, how do you feel about everything that's going on with the Knicks? And he's like, it's not my fault. I've been playing, I've been doing my thing. Basically, he's trying to say that he's not the reason why they're losing. So I don't even know why he would go on there and say that. Yeah, I don't know why he would go on there and say that, but he's saying it for whatever reason.
Ron, for all the people, I'm sorry, real quick, Sam, for all the people that say, well, I'd rather, the Knicks front office come out and give us press conferences, and you mentioned Steve Mills. When Steve Mills came out and did that, it actually made the situation worse, right? And because he sold the coach out and everyone knew that the coach was a dead duck, right? Dead duck walking. So that's not always the best thing. And the second thing that you said in regards to, I forgot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, what I was going to say to you, Josh, is I don't agree with that. I don't agree with your administration coming out and giving press conferences and telling every move. One of the things I liked about this administration when we got them is how quiet they were. They make certain moves. We had the draft night. A lot of us were together. I mean, you guys weren't there, but a lot of us were together, and we were freaking out. Like, what are they doing? They're trading back. Okay, well, we know who we got. Then they traded back again. We're like, what are they doing? But then they wound up with these certain guys. And we were like, okay, this looks good. And then they made these the acquisitions with good contracts. I still believe they're good contracts. And I said, okay, so they moved stealthy. I like that. And we had no idea. So I like that about them. I don't agree with the whole Steve Mills way of thinking. You don't put everything out there, your whole dirty line, whatever's going on.
Ron,
so
what I wanted to say was, in regards to you saying that the Knicks hired Thibodeau because he's a name, I don't believe that was the case at all. Right? I believe hiring Larry Brown and Mike D'Antoni and Phil Jackson, for that matter, was hiring a name. But I believe Tom Thibodeau was hired because he had a relationship that goes back years with the front office, right? And to me, I think that's the most important thing when you have guys on the same page. And that's what I think it comes back to. Now, they could have hired Mark Jackson. They could have hired, Kenny Atkinson, but does he have that same kind of relationship with the front office, with Leon Rose, right? Is there a trust issue there that they don't know each other, working with each other for the same time, at the same time? So I think that matters as well. And I have no problem with hiring Thibodeau if you feel like, you have a relationship with him and you guys are going to go in the same direction. If that direction is compromised, then Thibs got to go.
Okay, I agree with you. And maybe you want to say it's not necessarily for the name, but it's the CAA connection. Is just as bad as saying a name.
Okay. I mean, but I also feel like he was hired on the merits of his coaching. I mean, he came into the league only having, he had 2 losing seasons on his coaching resume. I mean, not came into the league. I'm sorry, came into the Knicks organization with 2 losing seasons, all right, on his coaching resume. And that was in 2016-17 with the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was his first year there. The next year, he was 47-35, and they made the playoffs. All right, he was fired the season after, right? But they were 19-21 when he was fired, and they went on to be 36-46 even without him there, right? So it's not like they got better, right? Ryan Saunders came in, and he was 17-25 with the Minnesota Timberwolves that season. So I think he was also hired on his coaching ability. Right? And I think he's proven that he can coach in the NBA. Everybody may not like his philosophy, but I think he has proven that he can coach in the NBA. And I also believe, though, while he is a coach that wants to win, I do believe, and maybe it's because I have the same type of thinking, I do believe he is a developmental coach, and he can develop young players. You know what I mean? I do also believe that he wants to win. I personally believe that the philosophy of you start from the bottom and you earn your way into my lineup, I believe in that. You know what I'm saying? You'll get some opportunities. I mean, I had a parent this year get mad at me and take their daughter off the team because she wasn't playing. She didn't deserve to play. You know what I mean? Because she didn't have the skill to play. He felt that she should play. He ended up taking her off the team. For me, I was just like, oh, well, I like her. She's a good kid, all of those things. We still talk. She wanted to come back to the team. Her parents didn't let her come back to the team. You know what I mean?
You got to work it out with your mom.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're
One
lost.
problem less for you, Sam.
And, other players that were in the same boat as her got a chance to play and actually started to earn some playing time because they proved that they could do some things on the court. The fact of the matter was they didn't know where to be on the floor when it was time to be there. They had And they actually have a little bit more talent. Well, one or two of them have a little bit more talent than some people who do get playing time, but there's some things that they don't get. It is what it is. But to me, that's a part of development. And I do think that Tom Thibodeau can develop players who are young because of that process of, you know what? I am a tough coach to break down. You really got to put in the work and show me that you belong out here on the floor. I'm not just going to gift time to you. I believe in that philosophy. You know what I mean? And maybe that's the reason why people are like, oh, yeah, you're defending Coach Tom Thibodeau, this, that, and the third. I believe in that philosophy. Now, should he be fired? I don't think he should be fired, at least not this season. You know what I'm saying? Has he coached well this season? No, I don't think he's coached well this season either. You know, I think that the fact that the Knicks come out in third quarters and frequently play bad in third quarters, I think that's indicative of the coach, right? Not making the right adjustments at halftime. I think that it really is indicative of the coach. I think mindset is indicative of the coach. You know, when your team, listen, when you get up 28 points, you know, your players should be able to win that. You know what I'm saying? I really do feel that. Your players should be able to win that. But when you talk about mindset of the team and, you know, the players have a losing mindset, I think the coach plays a big role in that as well. You know what I'm saying? How do you help the players develop their mindset? You know, can you be the type of person that can manage personalities? I think that's a huge part of coaching. If you can manage personalities, I think it also goes into mindset on the basketball court. You know what I'm saying? So I think his lack of ability to do that has played a big part of this season. And adjustments on the floor, you know, I've talked a lot about the distribution of minutes, right? Julius Randle playing 12 minutes in the first quarter. I don't think he should play 12 minutes in the first quarter. You know what I mean? Because I think he gets tired at 6 minutes. You know what I mean? So the distribution of minutes, I don't think was done well. It doesn't mean that I think he should be fired. I think that just like you're going to have an exit interview with the players, I think you have an exit interview with the coach. Leon Rose sits and says, here's some things that I've seen that I think need to be changed going into next season. Let's talk about some other support systems that we can put in place for you. And then now let's come back next season and see if we can make this thing better. And if it doesn't work, given the, you know, and you go into it saying, I'm going to try to get you the players that you want, et cetera, et cetera. But if I see these same fundamental issues, right, lack of adjustments, you know, the issues with minute distribution and those type of things, then, you know, we're going to have a different discussion. But I think for me, you have to give somebody a chance to rebound because everyone's not going to perform at their top level all the time. And you got to give somebody a chance to rebound. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be coach of the year every year. We know that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have good years and bad years. I think you got to give him a chance to rebound. And I think his track record shows that he's a guy that can rebound. You give him the chance to do it. And if he doesn't rebound, then you say, all right, well, maybe this isn't the right solution and we need another solution. But I think you got to give him a chance to rebound off of having a bad year.
The only thing I'm concerned about, Sim, and this is all pure speculation, so obviously I don't know anything. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'm concerned about is how stubborn, because we don't know. I don't know about Thibs' makeup, you know, who he is as a person, how stubborn he is as a coach when you want to bring certain things to him as far as asking for change or other solutions that may be beneficial to him. Mm-hmm. Because the other thing that I think about with Thibs, and it doesn't matter how good of his CAA connection is with Leon Rose and how much friends they are, when you look at the situation, the dynamic, Thibs is an NBA coach with a proven history of winning, right? He's got his cachet. Leon Rose and Worldwide West have not been in the front office doing this stuff and haven't been successful anywhere else. True. So Thibs would say, you know, who? Scott I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Scott Perry because really, regardless of everything, Leon Rose is the man. You know, he's the one who has the final say. So if you're looking at that, Thibs, maybe going back and forth with Leon Rose, like their friend connection. Like, listen, while I value your opinion, I think I know what I'm doing, and I think this will work for me better. And he's got the track record to say he could be right. So I don't know how Thibs' makeup is as far as how he looks at the constructive criticism or the suggestions.
But still, Leon Rose, in my opinion, is his boss, right? So It's still, regardless of his track record or whatever, if Leon Rose comes to him and says, here's some things I think we need to address or work on, Tom Thibodeau's the employee. He's got to take that constructive criticism. If he can't, and he goes in the next season, he's like, I'm not doing any of that, well, then you deserve to be fired.
Easily.
We should have known the writing was on the wall that there was going to be a little issue with this whole Cam Reddish situation. I said it on one of the shows that you had when he said, as soon as we traded for him, he said, well, it's not like anybody's going to be playing no 10, 11, 12 guys. So we knew there was going to be an issue with playing time for Cam at that point.
But I believe that there was some discussions that they had, because I think in that same interview, he said, we talked about this. We had some discussions. And then he went into talking about the 11, 12-man rotation. So I think there were probably discussions like, where do you expect me to put this guy in? And Leon might have been like, don't worry, we're going to clear some space. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. But I feel, as an employer, you give that person a chance to rebound. Maybe you set some goals. I mean, this should work just like any other job, right? Say, okay, here's some goals that we want you to work on during this off season. Some things that we want to see you come in with maybe this different kind of a mindset, or, another strategy or something like that. I don't know. Right. But those kind of conversations should happen. And if he can't live up to it, then he's out of here. But I think you got to get a guy a chance to rebound. You know what I mean? And not only that, how can anything ever get good? I think Andy pointed it out earlier. How can anything ever get good if you jump from coach to coach every 2 years?
No.
I agree with that.
Just to get back on the Thibs thing and the front office, listen, Thibs has more experience and saw probably more basketball than all of the front office combined. You could add James Dolan to that. And he was watching the Knicks last 20 years, man. And listen, that's why when you're talking about, the boss and then the worker, right? Listen, if I'm Thibs and my employer is gonna say, like, listen, you gotta do this and this the way I want it to do. And I know deep inside that I know better than him. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be like, listen, I'm going to do it my way. If you want, you can fire me. But I'm not going to make a fool out of myself trying to play this guy because you got me that guy, right?
Or resign.
Exactly. But, I'm not resigning. I'm not leaving that money. I'm not going to get fired to take that money.
Right. I'm not going to resign.
But that's the situation, man. And I think Thibs' knowledge on basketball is so way above the rest of the guys that they have to trust him. And if that trust is burned, he's going to get fired regardless, right? But that has to be burned. And I really think that Leon Rose really knows. He can know Rick Brunson because he was his client and stuff like that. But he doesn't know basketball like Thibs does.
Right. And I agree. And I don't mean to say that Leon Rose is going to, like, they're going to sit in a meeting and he's going to tell them all of these things, right?
Use this play and that play because that works in college. Maybe it's going to work in the NBA.
But he might look and say, just from what I saw, I had concerns about adjustments. I had concerns about minutes distribution. And I'm saying things that I'm thinking Leon Rose may not be thinking the same thing, but he may have his own issues, right? I had concerns about this, and sit down and have that conversation and, talk about ways that, it could improve or et cetera, going into the next season, and then if Leon Rose doesn't think that they've improved, then obviously you say, maybe this relationship isn't going to work anymore. But I don't think this season is the season to do it. I think, you hired the guy. He won Coach of the Year 1 year. I don't think you were expecting him to. Goes the opposite way the next season. Hopefully you say, well, let's see if the third season levels it out. You know what I mean? And, we're right here in the middle where we kind of expected maybe we would be. I just think, if you're jumping from coach to coach, if you're jumping from girlfriend to girlfriend, you're probably not going to get married. You know what I mean? You're just going to keep jumping from girlfriend to girlfriend and leave babies all over the place. At some point, I think the Knicks just keep jumping from coach to coach every 2 years. You're always starting over, always restarting, because when the coach comes in, they're going to want their players. They're going to have their system. So you got to now go get players for the system. At some point, you got to try to say, well,
stick it out. Let's
stick it out for a little bit and see if we can make something happen. Obviously, at a point, if it's not happening, you got to make the change. I just think this is too early.
And Sim, look at the Spurs, for example. Pop wasn't in the playoffs every season he's coaching down there.
Nope.
And nobody mentioned that he's going to get fired even. They have so much trust with him. He's going to stick the joint out. He's going to be a lottery team like 2-3 years in a row, and he still got the job safe.
Yeah.
And, there's more organizations like that. But there are also organizations that are going to have like 2 head coaches in a season, and they're not going to ever make a step forward. Like the Kings, even the Timberwolves and organizations like that. They're going to stink up the joint for 10 years and like Silver had to throw him a high pick just to get him out of that, hole.
Yeah,
right. But in fairness, Andy, I was just saying, like, I've also seen Popovich make a substitution where he sees something's not going right on the court for an extended period of time, and he goes to his bench and picks out a player that can kind of help stem what's happening. Whether it's a young player or vet, I don't care. It's just the point is making that adjustment and saying something's not right. I got to try to do something a little different and make a change here.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's just the difference between Thibs and Thibs,
Pop.
right? Yeah, and Pops. So, and I understand that we're not going to compare even these two guys, right? But somehow he built that culture, right? We were the 4th seed after the regular season last season, and none of you guys were asking for his head back then. And then 5 playoff games ran him out of the town almost. Now, after these, another 50 games, he's like 90% would fire him. And meanwhile, the next season can come and he's going to be like, Fournier is going to be averaging 28. Randall's going to average 30. RJ is going to average 25. And we're going to be like the 5th seed and everybody's going to be, oh, good that we kept him.
Well, so, you know what? Let me say this one more thing. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut anybody off or jump in and say stuff, but I forget. I'm 44. Stuff happens. So the thing that I was going to say is there's just so many reasons why I just think Thibs should go. It's not I value his coaching mindset. I just think that there's certain things that I don't like, and I'm worried about it going forward. My other issue is not just about him playing the young guys, is how to use whoever. I don't care about the young guys, whoever. It's how to get the best out of these guys. I know, like one of the people I will give him credit for is Julius Randle. I think what he did with Julius Randle was smart last year, putting the ball in his hands and making him that point forward type guy. We saw the results. He won most improved player. Okay, I give credit to Thibs for that, because that is that's what he's not going to let Julius just do it if he doesn't approve it. So I'm going to give him credit for that. But I think some of his not just in-game adjustments, but some of his offensive style of play, what he wants to do, I don't think it suits everybody on the team. And I don't think he gets enough value out of some of his players because he doesn't necessarily know how to use them properly. That's my opinion.
And I agree with that totally. I said it with Kemba and with Fournier at the beginning of the season even. So I don't think there's a perfect coach, Ron, out there for New York. I don't care about any other team. Man, in New York, he can cross the sidewalk on the red light and he's going to be, call his head for. So I'm not.
Oh, you know what? Let me ask you one question. I'm sorry, sir. I just want to ask you guys all this one question. I wish Steph was here to answer this, but I know she's not. Do you guys feel like we have too much young talent on this team? right now, as far as young players itself? Do you think we got too many young players on the team?
No, I don't.
No.
I
don't think you have enough.
Right. I think the more the merrier, and we got these draft picks coming up. You know, all these young players are not going to be here. Somebody's going to get moved, you know, and fans have to accept that. But what happens is when one of these young players get moved, why did you trade that player? You could have kept that player and did this and did that. You know, fans are, you know, thinking that we're going to have a roster, 12 guys or 15 guys on a roster in which all of them are going to play and all of them are going to get meaningful time. That's just not a reality. And fans have to accept that.
And again, it's easier to say it after it happens or doesn't happen, right? That's way easier. You know,
right
now everybody said, you know, we were happy with Kemba and Fournier signed. Now Fournier is a bum. Kemba is a bum. After this season, I'm going to bring up Fournier's number. All you guys going to switch up. None of it comments we're going to see in the chat. I bet you guys.
Although, hey Andy, I'm your European brother because I have been rocking with Fournier all year until the donut day when he was the French crawler. I didn't like that, but yeah, I've been big on Fournier.
All right. Well. Speaking about Fournier, see, this perfect segue. You guys already know what I'm thinking. So a report came out today that says that DeMar DeRozan, if the Knicks would have matched the contract, would have chosen the Knicks over the Bulls.
Who wrote that, Berman?
I believe it was Berman.
Yeah.
I believe so. Right.
Yeah.
Does that make you more upset about this offseason?
Not me.
Whew. Now
I'm bothered by it. I ain't gonna lie. Go ahead. I'm bothered.
Well, I was telling and arguing with Sim and Steph and during free agency day, I was all for bringing DeMar DeRozan in here. And I got the tomatoes thrown at me back then too, because everyone was like, oh, Josh, you got to be patient. You can't just want to trade everybody, and you can't do this and you can't do that. You know, at least Evan Fournier can shoot. DeMar DeRozan can't shoot, and you put him next to RJ Barrett, it's not going to work, yada, 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 yada. And now all of a sudden, a lot of fans feel differently. So I hate to say I told you so, but if I'm the Knicks, I definitely would have made that move. I kind of understand why they went to Fournier and gave him the contract they gave him because DeRozan's worth more per season. But I feel like we could have brought DeMar DeRozan here. He could have been a major contributor to this team, be another ball handler on the floor that could play with Randall and with RJ. So that's just my opinion.
But Josh, I'm going to just answer the question this way. There's no proof that DeMar DeRozan would be the DeMar DeRozan from the Bulls on the Knicks. None. The offense is totally different. If we would be running the offense through Julius, nobody says that DeRozan has the same touches that he has on the Bulls.
They got Levine. They got Levine and Vucevic.
Yeah, but it's still Randall here.
And they run. Well, hold on, Andy. Hold on. That's not fair because if you look at Chicago, DeRozan and Levine both have a similar usage rate, so it can happen. It can work.
Josh, I'm just saying. Listen, I was expecting different play from Fournier. And listen, and I actually think that this is actually my blame on Thibs. I think Thibs couldn't use DeRozan the way that the Bulls are using him. I just don't see it. And I saw. Listen, me and Sim did a coach's corner. I think it was a coach's corner when we after Randall's most improved season, we were calling for a point guard that Randall would respect. And that would take the ball out of Randall's hands. And we said immediately that the numbers of Randall are gonna, drop down. And we said that there wasn't a point guard. And I don't think, Julius respects probably Kemba this way. I don't, except probably Kyle Lowry. I didn't see any other point guard that Julius would respect. And we were talking about this several times, that for Julius, you would have to have a great point guard. Would he respect DeMar DeRozan? Maybe, but we're not going to know that.
Yeah. Well, what do you say about RJ Barrett? RJ Barrett's usage rate has gone up in the past few months.
And we're still losing.
Yeah, but you said that we won't be able to do that, though. That's different.
Yeah.
That's different.
With the
sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, thanks. With the whole thing with the DeMar DeRozan, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've never been a big fan of DeMar DeRozan. And, in the offseason, some people were like, we should go get DeMar DeRozan. I was lukewarm. I was like, if that's who we get, okay, I'm cool. I'm going to rock with him. But I, too, felt like Fournier was a better fit for the team. Right? And I never argued that he was a better player. I did think it was a better fit for the team because you were trying to develop RJ Barrett to be one of your primary ball handlers. out there on the court, primary creators. You know what Julius Randle was going to be like with the ball in his hands. And I felt like Evan Fournier was the kind of guy that could come off screens and knock down jump shots, obviously being in the corner, knock down shots, jump shots, etc. Do those type of things, could score without the ball in his hands or without dominating the basketball. And I felt like adding DeMar DeRozan would have been another guy who would need to dominate the basketball. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you know, I mean, I was wrong. Look at how DeMar DeRozan is playing, but I agree with Andy. There's no telling how he would have fit within the system, but he would have been a guy that could probably go get you a bucket, and that's something that we're missing, right? In crunch time, he would have went out there and got us a couple of buckets, I believe, and some of these games we lost, I think we would have won. I'm not going to lie.
I agree.
I'm not going to lie.
I agree.
Listen, guys, that might have happened, but probably would, right? But listen, let's wait for DeRozan to show up in the playoffs, man. It can be the same situation. They're going to get in the playoffs, and DeRozan's going to forget his talent suddenly in the first round, and they're going to get bounced. And
I'm just trying to get to the playoffs, Andy. I'm just trying to get there.
Yeah, Judge. But listen, you know, it was, you know, for me, it's really hard to say, and that's why I don't like comparing players. You know, there's totally different systems, totally different situations for these guys. So it's easy. It's really easy to do it and just to try to force, for example, your way or whatever. So
and it's easy to take a look backwards after he's having a good season and say, "Oh man, we should have did that." You know, when you're in the midst of it, you know, you gotta think and you gotta say, okay, which way do we go? You know what I mean? Do we go to DeMar DeRozan or do we go with Evan Fournier? Apparently, according to the article, Scott Perry, he wanted to get DeMar DeRozan, right? He was in favor of DeMar DeRozan, where Leon Rose thought that DeMar DeRozan was on the downside of his career and didn't want to pay him
Scott, they didn't want to
money.
listen to Scott Perry, the basketball guy.
Well, I think I want to back up on that a little bit, though, when you talk about the basketball guy, because you don't become an agent and not know basketball players and their talent.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Right, because you got to go out and scout guys, and you're scouting guys to say this guy's going to be good because, you know, your money depends on it, right? So I think
you can sign multiple guys, so you can have good, bad guys, whatever. You just take percentage of their wages. So
right, I mean that's true, but I think you do. You know, you go out and you scout and you watch guys from the time they're in the 8th, 9th grade. You know what I'm saying, and follow their career. So I think you probably know a little bit about basketball players and talent if you're an agent, and you know. Now, you know, fitting them into a team, that's a different story. But knowing their talents, I think you probably got to know some players' talents. But that's why Scott Perry is kept around, right? To know about basketball and make some basketball decisions as far as players' talent and stuff like that.
You need a guy like that somewhere in your organization. If it's Scott Perry or someone else.
Right.
The only thing I was
drafted Emmanuel Mudiay, right?
What you say, Sam? Say that again.
Or yeah, right? Did he draft? Was it Emmanuel Mudiay that he drafted?
I think no. Did he?
Well, Sam, this conversation. Well, this conversation can go multiple ways, right? Because again, we look at the Knicks front office structure, and this front office structure is different than another team in the way they run theirs. I know with the Knicks and with Dolan specifically, he likes having multiple guys. You know, in the front office. So that's not one person that's making, you know, the executive decision all the time. And I think with the Knicks, that's the way their front office is structured. You look at other teams around the NBA, the general manager is the one that makes that decision, right? The Knicks have a general manager. He's like the second or third in charge behind the president and the executive vice president. So we really don't know who drafted who. We just know that under that regime, that's what happened. And Berman with this article is basically letting us know that, you know, I don't know how he knows this, but he says that Perry wanted to do one thing and Leon Rose wanted to do something different. So we really don't know.
Well, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, Sam. I just wanted to get this out because I looked at when you guys were talking about DeMar DeRozan, and if you know me, I'm a purist when it comes to basketball. I love the old guys that could just shoot, like the Dwayne Wades, the Glenn Rices, the mid-range guys who could also shoot the three, but their mid-range was solid, and that's why I always liked DeMar DeRozan. But this is what I wanted to point to. DeMar DeRozan is shooting 51% from the field this year, 49% last year, 53% the year before. This is with the Spurs, right? And then he's shooting 86% from the free throw line, 88 last year, 84 the year prior to that. All I'm saying is a guy like that, and Sims hit the nail on the head. A guy like that gets you buckets. So the games that you're struggling to find the bucket, those guys get you buckets and keep the momentum going in your direction.
Right.
That's why I like that guy.
There's going to be fans that are going to tell you, you know what? They're going to tell you that when the Raptors traded DeRozan, next year they had a chip. That's going to be the contradiction points for them.
Yeah, and you know, just to back it up, Scott Perry, yes, we know he drafted Elfrid Payton, but for some reason I thought there was a connection with Emmanuel Mudiay. Maybe there wasn't.
That was Fizdale that's going to fix him.
Yeah, Fizdale's going to fix him.
But that's what I'm trying to say. When Scott Perry was in what team? I don't know what team. Oh, Orlando. Like Scott Perry was in their basketball operations.
In Sacramento.
Yeah, I don't know if he was the head guy that was in charge of the entire basketball operations.
He wasn't.
Right. So again, we don't know whether it was Scott Perry that did that. People are always going to link those two together, but we just don't know what the way the front office is structured, who was actually making that call, or who's pushing for certain things and not pushing for others.
Right. But apparently, he was in favor of bringing in DeMar DeRozan, partly because DeMar DeRozan and Damian Lillard are really good friends, like best friends.
So, that was his agenda.
That was his agenda, to get Damian Lillard to New York to pair with DeMar DeRozan, and et cetera, et cetera. So, it's again, people are point and say, well, maybe the front office is not on the same page. I still think that's, if all of us are sitting around having a discussion and we're all building a team, we're all going to have difference of opinions. The thing is, do we all come down and finally say, okay, let's settle in on this one right here, and everybody gets behind it? To me, that's when everyone's on the same page. Even if you have differences of opinions, when you're in the midst of discussion, when you settle in and make a decision, it's everybody behind that decision. I think that's the key factor in it all. You know what I mean? But either way, DeMar DeRozan is not with the New York Knicks. He's with the Chicago Bulls. He's having a great season with the Chicago Bulls. So it's not much we can do about it now. But let me get to a couple of super chats before I forget. I know this is going to take us backwards a little bit, but, we'll go ahead and we'll do it. Ayub Montan, he said, picking Obi over Halliburton was our downfall. We continuously go back to Halliburton and Obi Toppin. You know what I mean? Obviously, Halliburton is going to be a really, really good player in this league, though. There's no doubt about it. He was a guy that I wanted. No doubts about it. Teflon TV said, you need to find out if these kids are box office. They're not. Will people pay to see them? They won't. Do they put fans in the seats? They don't. This is a business first. And I just answered those questions for you. Nobody is coming to see Deuce McBride. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that he can't be a part of your team and a really good part of your team, but I don't think Deuce McBride is filling the seats with fans. I don't think Jericho Sims is filling the seats with fans. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think, and what I'm saying is, don't put him on the court because you want to find out our fans going to come see him. Put him on the court because you think that they can play basketball. That's what I'm saying. Because you think they can play basketball, not because the fans going to come see him. Kaiser Soul said, going back to practice. So what about if you're playing badly in actual games? Forget practice. I've been watching vets dribble the ball off their legs and throw the ball out. Obviously, we've seen vets make those mistakes. You know what I'm saying? But everything, I'm sorry, it's just my philosophy. Everything starts with practice. That's where you set the philosophy of your team. That's where you develop the culture of your team. All of those things begin there. You know what I mean? And, hopefully players perform well and earn themselves some minutes. And when they get in the game, they prove that they belong in the game. But I think I just believe players got to fight your way up the ranks. Obviously, some people are going to have more talent than others, and so that's going to get them on the floor. But you got to fight your way up the ranks, in my opinion. Dwayne, thank you for the super chat. I'm not exactly sure what this amounts to. It doesn't really matter to me what it amounts
Swedish
to.
money, $20, $23.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for whatever it was. It could be 1 cent. I still appreciate it. Thibs and Randall have done as much harm as good. I want to keep Thibs, but he really needs to improve. He hasn't done a great job at all this year. I agree, he hasn't. And the record says this. Randall is not a leader, and he needs to go based on that. You know, people are gonna. I mean, right now, Randall is the guy who people look at as the leader of this team. He's not a leader, and I think that, you know, you can trade Randall and you can move him. That's going to be a big piece to what you're doing that's gone. You know, are you going to get another piece that replaces that? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I guess my question would be, if you don't bring in someone who is a leader, like who is a true leader out there on the floor, to see how Randall falls into place when you have someone who's a true leader out there, you know, are you missing out if you don't do that? Ron, what do you think? You know, if you just get rid of Randall, but you never really put that leadership structure in place around him, someone who has a little bit more cachet than him, who can really lead the team, you know, are you missing out?
Yeah, I listen. I've said it all year that, and I'm not going to contradict myself. There's been a point in the season where I said Randall needs to go because I thought his behavior was immature. I think it wasn't befitting of a person in his position as a Knick player who is our best player. And young guys, no matter what you think, they still going to look up to him because he's been here, he's been doing it at a high level, and he's our guy. So I thought at some point that we should have moved on from him because I don't know if he was going to change things around. I just thought he was at a point where he was just done. He wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. But the same token, I also feel like if you bring in a solid NBA point guard into this mix, it changes a lot of the bad play you see out there. It helps Randall out a lot. Randall can still get up and down the court and do what he's doing. But then in the crunch time or in certain moments where you need good possessions, that's where that point guard comes into play. And I think that helps our team. I also think a really solid point guard would have helped RJ get through a lot of things this season. It'll help. A solid point guard will help everybody on the court, in my opinion. So I wouldn't want to throw Randall away. I think he's a really good player. You can get even more out of him if you have the right pieces in play. So, yeah, I would agree that that would change things. And I think you would put yourself in a better position to do that first than just saying, well, Randall can't work here, he's got to go. Because obviously we see he has a lot of there's some mental things that affect him, and especially the pressure, the drama, and this whole trade thing. It obviously affected him because after the trade deadline, it was like he was like, phew, and a lot of players maybe felt that way. So it's something to be said. I think he does want to be here. And if you put the right pieces in play around him and not put him in a position, this team they're all put in positions to fail. If you ask me, Quickly shouldn't be running the point. You can teach him and show him opportunities to learn, but I don't think he should be running it. And Burke should not be running the point. Like, you're putting guys in spots where they're not looking as good as they could. And Randall dribbling the ball up and down the court, especially in the fourth quarter, when he does. I mean, he had the last game that we played that we lost to the Nets, he had 7 turnovers. It's because he has the ball in his hands a little bit too much. All I'm saying is you got to put the right pieces in play, and then you'll get the best out of your players.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think the problem is, who's out there. And I think the front office has to choose a direction and which way they're going to go with this team. If they're going to continue to try to build with Randall, and I'm not saying around him, I'm saying with Randall and RJ and et cetera, or are they going to say, this ain't working and it's not going to work, think it's not going to work, and decide to go in the other direction? That is where I think they got to make that decision. I wanted them to, I was hoping at the trade deadline we were going to see a direction that they were leaning, right? But we probably now don't see that direction until the draft, possibly. You know what I mean? I actually believe what's going to end up happening is they're going to make a move for Malcolm Brogdon. either Malcolm Brogdon or Jalen Brunson, one of the two. Brogdon's going to be available. Jalen Brunson's going to be a free agent. I think the Knicks are going to make a move for one of those two and try to put that type of point guard on this team and then see where it goes from there. And if it does not show the results that they're looking for, then I think you see them break it down.
Yeah, get rid of
I agree
Randle
with that.
and
I
take
agree.
about
Yep. And you know what? I'm not upset with that at all. You know what I'm saying? Give it another year to see if you can make it work with that type of a point guard, and if you show some promise, and then say, you know what? We put that guy here. It still ain't working. You know, we might as well hang it up and reboot. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what they're going to do. And Jalen Brunson and Malcolm Brogdon are the two obvious choices. Andy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, except for what you said, Sim. If fans, any of you guys are thinking that we're just gonna draft a point guard and Julius Randle is gonna, love playing with a point guard, a rookie point guard at, on the starting lineup, man, that ain't gonna happen.
Oh no, we're not gonna draft the point guard, and it's gonna work that way. I'm not seeing it happening like
it's
that.
Other a vet, and I actually don't think that he's gonna work well with unless he gets like threatened by the front office that he's gonna get traded, that he's gonna respect maybe Brogdon a little bit more, but Brunson.
Yeah, I could see that with Brunson. I could see him respecting Brogdon a little bit more than Brunson. I can see that. Yeah. And by when we say respect, that doesn't mean like he's going to be in the locker room cursing the dude out, and not that kind of respect. Just kind of like, when you're on the court type of respect. And, I'm the guy on the team. I'm the leader. I'm going to da-da-da. But,
give me the ball. Don't wave me off and stuff like that. So.
But I will say, and I'm about to come to you, Josh, over these last however many games, I've seen Randle play a different style of basketball. It's quicker, it's faster. He is more willing to let somebody else take the basketball. You know what I mean? I mean, I literally seen him. I didn't know what to think of it, right? And maybe it's, it was a good thing. I don't know. But he gave the ball to Kemba Walker, walked by the side of Kemba Walker, and told him what play to call. And then Kemba Walker called out that play and got the ball to Evan Fournier, and I think he knocked down the jump shot. I think. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if, I don't know where that lies in their mix of on-court strategy, anything like that. But, I've seen it happen on more than one occasion. I think someone like Malcolm Brogdon, though, I think he would respect him enough and it would work,
Yeah,
Josh?
It's respect and trust, right?
Yeah, respect and trust. Exactly. Josh?
Well, I just disagree with the fact that Julius Randle won't let anybody else run the point guard position. Well, first and foremost, Julius Randle to me has been a lot more passive this season as far as giving the ball up, and I think he's been doing that too much at times, right? And then you see the times where now he's starting to dominate the ball a little bit more. He's knowing what to do with the basketball, and the times where sometimes he does dominate it, he doesn't make the quick decision. I think that's what everyone has the problem with. But when you look at Brunson and Brogdon, those guys are not floor general style of playmaking type of point guards. Those guys are secondary ball handlers who they're able to convert and they're able to knock down some shots whenever you need them to. They're not going to be the ones out there, setting up the offense and basically being that type of floor general facilitator types, right? And I think that's the kind of point guard that we need, like someone like a Brunson, a secondary ball handler, or a Brogdon, to make sure you have enough touches for RJ and you have enough touches for Randle and whoever else we have in the starting lineup. Right. So this whole thing about the Knicks, needing a point guard. Yeah, I do agree that we need a point guard, but I don't think we need someone that's going to dominate the basketball. I'd rather have someone out there like Brunson or Brogdon who can be secondary ball handlers and knock down shots when you need them to.
We were thinking that Kemba's going to be that dude.
No, Kemba's never been that in his whole entire career. He's been a primary ball handler. And that's where you see the problems with RJ and Randle, that cohesion not being there, because in order for Kemba to be effective, he needs to have the ball in his hands. I'd rather have a point guard that's not like that. Right. If you want to say, as far as RJ is concerned, if RJ wants to, if we can give RJ some more touches, split the ball usage up between him and Randle for the most part, I think that's more effective, and then have a secondary ball handler off of that. But if you bring in another ball handling point guard who is dominant with the ball in their hands, I just don't think that's going to work work.
I mean,
That's the issue we have right now.
See, I think we need a floor general out there. I think we need someone who, can really direct traffic and especially get it done in the clutch. Because I think that's what the Knicks miss. They miss a floor general. Someone, who is the coach on the floor. I really think we miss that big time.
Well, Sam, you can do that without dominating the basketball, though. You can be a floor general without dominating.
That's true.
Yeah, so we're saying the same thing, just
That's true.
And I just wanted to say that I know that you guys are right. I think like Brunson would probably would need to show and prove for Julius to kind of respect his orchestration of the offense, but I think Brunson can do that. Brunson may not be the sexiest pick for people because he's not athletic and he's shorter than some of the other guys we would like
that
to
dude
target.
Can ball.
But,
he can ball.
Yo, Brunson is good, man. Even watching him against us, how he lays the ball, like he's got soft hands. He just puts it there for you to run into the pass. Like he knows how to set guys up. And I think I as much as I would love someone else who would be a sexier pick for the Knicks, Brunson would be very adequate. I think he'd get us into a much better spot with our team.
I think he would. I think he would without a doubt. Big shout out to Darren Wilkerson. Thank you for the super chat. He said, we're not winning this year, so sit these bum vets and play the youth. Thibs will never change. Not even going to go back into that conversation. We spent the whole hour on that conversation, Darren. We're not even going to go back into it. Now we're looking at, what's going on in the future. Last question before I get out of here. We can answer it quick. Do you see anything in the buyout market that interests you? And for what, I guess? Unless it's a young guy.
Listen, there's still Dennis Schroeder out there, if I'm correct. If I want him, that might make the Knicks, try to make the push for the play-ins. I'm not sure if I want him, because that's definitely gonna sit, McBride behind. Like he's gonna be, back, behind these guys. But if the Knicks brass and Thibs really wants to make that push, he might be the guy that just to roll the dice on.
Yeah. What if Houston does buy out John Wall? You rolling the dice on that?
For the vets minimum?
For the vets minimum. For the vets min. I mean, listen, if John Wall gets bought out, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he did get bought out, if I was the Knicks, I'd try to give him the vets minimum to come and play just to see what it looks like. If it don't work, then you move on from him for next year. I think he would probably end up going to like the Bulls or somebody, though. Yeah, I think he'd go to a contender.
So we don't have any roster spots available at the
no, we have, right? We have, Josh. We have. Even with the signing of Ryan Arcidiacono to the end of the season, we got one roster spot open.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I guess I would consider doing it, but I don't think the fans would be happy with that because, again, it's like, oh, why you bring him here? We want to see the kids play, yada, 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 yada. And again, John Wall is just another big-time dominant ball handler. I just don't see it working out over the course of this season.
Yeah. I just want to salute to Andy once again because I love how he says Ryan, the architect, whatever the hell he said. I can't say it. I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, beautiful. I think that while I would take a flyer on John Wall, for what this Knicks team needs, I actually would much rather have Dennis Schroeder. Because, listen, say what you will about Dennis Schroeder. I know he hasn't turned out to be what he thinks he is, but for what he actually is, pretty damn good player. In 3 games with Houston, he's averaged 12 points a game and 7.7, almost 8 assists a game in those 3 games. Mm-hmm. So I'll take that on the Knicks any day. That'll help.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, really, I'm kind of I'm of the belief if you're gonna, there probably is no purpose though for either one of those guys. No purpose unless you feel like you can make a push to get into that play-in. I don't feel like the Knicks can really make a push. When I look at the schedule that's coming up, I don't see it being there, right? I think it's Miami, Philadelphia, Phoenix. I think that takes us out. I think it takes us out. I know like right now the Knicks are 3.5 games behind. Who are they behind? The Atlanta Hawks.
For that
10th seed. And, 3.5 games, but you're talking about the Hawks are 28-30 and the Knicks are 25-39. So the Hawks are 2 games below 500. The Knicks are 9 games below 500, right? Yeah, I'm not seeing that a push is really going to happen towards the end of the season.
Well, you know what? The only thing is, would you guys mind, like, say we got Schroeder off the whatever market, buyer's market, buyout market, and he played pretty good for us. You know what? Would you mind giving him Kimba type money or something around that lines next year and keeping him with the team? Especially depending on, like, I don't know how they value what the Knicks organization looks at when they value Miles McBride. But I'd like to have in a situation where we could have Dennis Schroeder be the starting point guard. And, you still have IQ and Miles learning, and maybe Miles becomes the official backup. I wouldn't mind that mix. Like, I think you got to get rid of Kimba. But I think they'll do that. I think Kimba's going to be out of here in the offseason. Because I just don't think it makes sense to continue to keep him here.
Right.
But, yeah, so I'd be okay with Schroeder.
Yeah. We'll see. The thing is, someone like Schroeder, if he's on Houston, why would he take a buyout just to go to the Knicks? I wouldn't see that happen, right?
Maybe to lay the ground for the next season.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, the Knicks don't have a point guard, so that would be like he would be like halfway through already.
Right. I mean, I would think that he would try to, for the season, for at least one season, say, hey, let me try to jump on with a contender somewhere. I can talk with them in the offseason. But maybe he is a forward thinker and is like, you know what? Let me get with these guys because I think I could fit in here. They need a point guard and try to let them see what I can do going into the offseason. You never know.
And we overvalue talent all the time. Schroeder might come here and look like the second coming of the Messiah. You know what I mean?
And then we give him $100 million contract.
No.
So I don't know.
Oh my God, that'd be crazy. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm up out of here. I appreciate your time. I don't know. I'll probably jump on sometime tomorrow, do another shoot around. I know there's plenty of topics out there. The Knicks don't play until Friday, so they'll be off for a little while. I don't know when they get back in Westchester or Terrytown to start working back out, but as soon as they do, there'll be some interviews, this, that, and the third, and we'll jump in and talk about that. But we'll be on tomorrow with a couple of topics to talk about, man. So let me get everybody's last words, and we'll head up out. Andy?
Well, Sam, happy you're back finally. So we're going to be more online. Make the fans, more entertained with our takes. Are they good or bad? Tomatoes flying or just smiling faces?
Tomatoes flying all over the place today. I seen them.
Yeah. So yeah. But I'm happy you're back, and we're gonna have time to chop it up on a more daily basis.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Josh.
Yes, Sam, I echo those same sentiments from Andy, and I just want to let the Knicks fans know to please be patient with this process. I know right now it doesn't look too good. The season, we're not winning any games, but just give it some time, give it till next season or so, and let's try to, make our decision then. But right now it's just too early and too premature to make any decisions about, front office or coaching staff. Just give it a little bit of time.
Okay. And Ron.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, Sim. It's definitely a pleasure to have the Podfather back in the building. The return of Simeon Russell, part due. Yeah, man, and always a pleasure chopping it up with Andy, Isaiah, Josh, and Steph. And I hope people in the chat understand we can have differences of opinion and still root for our Knicks and still understand and value everyone's positioning. Yeah, because this is just a nice little verbal sparring. That's all it is.
Right, that's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
Yeah. I did want to say quickly. Let me let you guys know. So this week is a vacation week for some of my peoples that's still Knicks fans, and plus I have some business related stuff I have to take care of. So there won't be a Still Knicks Fans weekly recap episode this week, and unfortunately we won't be able to do the NBA report on Nothing But Knicks this week either. But we will be back the following week, and you can catch me next Saturday on the Know the Ledge series on Still Knicks Fans, where we go freestyle and we chop it up, and anybody can come on. We've had Andy, we've had Josh, and Steph has been on. We got to get Sim one of these days. Yeah, so it's definitely it's open-ended. So definitely check that out next Saturday at 11 a.m. And lastly, this is my shameless plug. This is a new year, guys. I got to do it. Listen, we got 597 subscribers. We're trying to build. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers by April 1st. So listen, if you value Still Knicks Fans and some of my takes, some of John's takes, we appreciate you. We need the love. We need the support. So head over to Still Knicks Fans, like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate you. Thank you. Shameless plug. And I'm out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're out. Be peaceful. And we're gone.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.